Yes, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending where you are in the world. Happy, oh, sorry, what's that on my hat? What is that on my hat? What is that? I've got a bit of fluff. This is bad news. I've started really badly. I've got some fluff. Guys, before you come in, Ryan, give me a second, man. I've literally just started the stream. Jump off for a second. Guys, jump off. Everyone coming in, give me a few minutes. Give me a few minutes. Welcome. What a start. Welcome to Debate Savva. Doesn't actually have to be a debate. It's an opportunity for people to come on, have their say. Again, as I always say, please have something that you want to talk about. Please don't come on and make it be about me asking you something. I want you to bring up a subject. So we'll talk about it. We'll debate it. Look, a very, very interesting couple of weeks for Spurs, the ups and the downs. And as I've said for many, many months, I've said for many years, nothing's changed at this football club. The ups, the downs, there's no new. I keep getting told that Ange has implemented, there's a new mentality and a winning spirit. There's none of that. I'm not blaming Ange purely for that. Me not liking him as a manager doesn't mean I blame him for 24 years of Daniel Levy. But at the same time, look, I don't rate him. I don't know how many times I can say this. I do not rate this guy as a manager in any way, shape, or form. Again, I think we saw it at the weekend. He stands there. We've gone 2-0 down, arms folded, his press conference, not looking at any. I don't warm to him. That's me. That's just me, guys. I'm not telling anybody else if you should warm to him or not. I go by facts. I did a show this morning, as some of you probably saw. And again, the facts don't lie. People have a lot of feelings. They have a lot of feelings, and everyone gets very emotional. And apparently, if you don't rate a manager, it means you don't get behind the team. And listen, I'm too old for all that kind of really playground nonsense. If we're going to be brutally honest, I've got my opinion. I look at the facts. This manager is not doing a good job. He's been poor for a year now, a whole calendar year. It's been really, really poor. So for me, there's no excuses. Every now and then we have a good win, and I think it makes everyone go, oh my God, if we do this regularly, and then we go and put in two awful back-to-back performances. One of the worst performances I've seen in Europe was Galatasaray, and one of the worst performances I've seen in a league game was yesterday at home to Ipswich. Listen, I feel like I get a lot of people message me, right? And by the way, I will give it 5 minutes. I will ask who wants to come on. I've put the link in the chat. People can queue up. If you are in the back, please note, there might be 5, 10, 15, 20-minute wait, depending on who's in front of you, depending on how good the topic is. Look, I do feel that we need to clarify a few things. First and foremost, I get a lot of people that message me. Like somebody just messaged me in my YouTube and said, in my YouTube comment section, and said, oh, so it's Ange's fault for the last 25 years. It's like, no. You're not listening. No one said that. And what a lot of people do is they start with, oh, so who's going to come in and win? Well, that's not my argument. My argument isn't, is Ange going to win anything? My argument is I don't rate him as a manager. But I think people hear what they want to hear. Which I always find quite funny. It's funny, in the last sort of 24, 48 hours, I haven't really had any of the usuals that have a go at me come into my chat and have a go at me. They're more than welcome to. And I'll say the same thing. I see YouTubers having a dig at me. I see these little shots, these people that are too scared to come on and actually have a football conversation. I see them throwing little digs, little bombs. That's fine. You do what you got to do. I'm a man. I'll sit here and I'll talk to you face to face. We'll have it out. It's not personal. It's football. And I think people need to stop thinking that if someone's got a different opinion to them, that they're a horrible person or that they hate you. It's football, for crying out loud, people, for crying out loud. Look, we've got a few people waiting in the back, so we'll get straight to it. But look, this is a chance. Sorry, but if the dog goes mad, the wife has just walked in. This is a chance for anybody to come on, have their say. Whether or not it's something that you agree with me on, whether it's something that you just feel you need to get off your chest. I don't mind which club you want to talk about. More than anything, it will probably be Tottenham, but I'm happy for people to talk about other subjects. look, we've had, Amorim has now from today taken post at Man United. Ruud van Nistelrooy has left the building. You've got all of the situation going on with the referee, David Coote, and his video, should we say, his faux pas. How do you see that? Whatever you want to talk about. Is it Ange? Is it Pep? Is it, I don't know, is it Arnie Slot, Liverpool, Arsenal? Whatever you want to talk about, this is the show for that. And this is a chance for people who don't have a YouTube channel to jump on and have their say. So let me go to the first guest. What I will say is, if you want to come on, you must have a name, written in, and you must have your camera on, all right? I'm not doing all of this. Oh, my camera doesn't work. I don't have a camera. Not doing that, all right? So look, let's go to the phone line just quickly before we do. Ed X has become a YouTube member. Big up, Ed. Thank you very much. You were very generous yesterday throughout my streams. Thank you very much for becoming a channel member, and I very much appreciate you. So, Ed, thank you very much. Sit back, enjoy the debates. Please keep it respectful in the chat. If you don't agree with me, if you don't agree with one of my guests, just debate the point. You don't need to debate the person, debate the point. So big up to each and every one of you. Let me bring on, how you doing, bro? You all right?
I'm very fine, thank you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you. Is it Teslim? Is that how I'm pronouncing it?
It's Teslim.
Teslim. Okay. How are you, my friend? And what is it that you want
to
talk about?
I don't know if you can hear me clearly because my network is quite bad. Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you clearly, yes.
I can't hear you clearly.
You can't hear me?
Clearly. So can I? Yeah, I can't hear you clearly. It's breaking. So can I come back?
If you do come back, though, you will lose your place, just so you know. Is that okay?
Okay, I'll try like this then. I'll try like this.
Go on. What do you want to say, my friend?
So, firstly, I've been here before. I don't know if you remember me. I had a broken screen, and your comment section was saying that am I in heaven or something, because it was just white and everything. It was a couple months ago.
I vaguely remember. Yes, I vaguely remember.
All right. So yeah. So coming here a couple months ago, I had a completely different opinion on Ange, but now I am quite on the other side of things. So the first thing I want to say is I've heard some people talk about how, and I'm going to call out Brian Daigle here. I love you, Brian, but I'm going to call you out on this. I've heard Brian say countlessly that, he doesn't want to change the manager because he's tired of changing managers. Now, if you tell me that you don't want to change the manager,
is this Brian Daigle?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Now just check it if it's my Brian. Okay, right. So Brian doesn't want to change managers, right? Okay.
Yeah, he said he doesn't want to change managers because he's tired of changing managers, and we've been changing managers every season and everything like that. And in my opinion, if that's a reason, or that's the reason why you want to keep the manager, then it's obvious that this manager is not good enough for the club. The reason why you should want to keep a manager is because the manager is good enough for the club, because the manager is somebody that you can get behind. The manager is somebody you can back. Not changing managers constantly shouldn't be a reason for us keeping a manager. If he's not good enough, get him out of my club. It's simple. It's no need for any other thing. I genuinely think that if he's not good enough, then he should get out of our club. Now, also, let me see. I have some notes here. A lot of people under Conte, a lot of people were talking about how we were second half FC, blah 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 blah, and all that. Under Ange, we've gone behind in the last 15 games 13 times. We've gone behind 13 times. Under Ange, we are no different. Under Ange as well, we've been second half FC. A lot of times we've played awful in the first half, and then we come back in the second half, and then we win the game. And the difference between Ange and Conte is that Ange is the media darling. A lot of people love Ange, so a lot of people are not going to want to like critique him or whatever. They're not going to want to talk bad about him. But then it is not different from under Conte. Under Conte, everybody was calling Tottenham second half FC. Well, we're the exact same thing under Ange. So I don't get why nobody's pointing that out. All of a sudden now, well, slowly people are starting to point it out, and I hope they continue to, because this man needs to be seen for what he is, in my opinion, because I am getting tired of him. I'm getting tired of him, generally speaking.
Look, a lot to unpack there. Let me see what I can do here. Look, first and foremost, big up to Brian. He's one of my favorite people. Look, I get it. Me and him, and we've had conversations, and I understand it. He says he doesn't want to lose the manager because he doesn't want to change, and I think that a lot of people within our fan base have that mentality. Look, I agree with you. For me, that's not a good enough reason to not have to keep a manager. For me, let's apply that to the real world, right? If I work for a company and I miss my target, if I'm in sales, if I miss my target for the first quarter of the year, my manager calls me in and says, look, you've not done well enough, you've got to hit your target for quarter two. If I don't hit my target for quarter two, that now means for 6 months I've not hit my target. I'm expecting my manager to say to me, really sorry, Savva, look, we've got to let you go. It's not working out. It's the same thing that if you are going out with somebody and they cheat on you, do you turn around and go, oh, I can't be bothered to get a new partner. I'll just stay with this one because I can't be. For me, I suppose it depends on the upheaval. And what I think, listen, you tell me, I might be wrong here. I think a lot of people associate a new manager with the word project, right? So we'll say, if Ange goes and we bring in, if we bring in John Smith is going to want all his own players. He's going to need 20 players. It's going to take 4 or 5 transfer windows. It's a completely different philosophy. I don't see that. I see that as a really weak mindset. For me, I see the mindset as, if you get a new manager in, you want a manager that can look at these players and say, what can I get out of them that the last manager didn't? Yes, I will add my own players in the transfer windows, but I don't need to make 10, 15, 20 changes. And I think that's what Spurs fans, we've all clung on to this word project, process, youth project, and everyone's going, oh, but it's going to take 4 or 5 years. Other clubs seem to do it a lot quicker. Yeah. The new Chelsea manager's come in. He's settled them down very quickly, right? They look like a team very quickly. Look at Aston Villa. Unai Emery went in there, and for 2 years solid, they haven't been outside the top 4 of the form table for 2 years, over those 2 years of games. So we're talking about nearly 100 games, and he's been consistently good. Eddie Howe at Newcastle, these managers didn't need 2, 3, 4 years to go in and do things. And, you know, they've got players. Unai Emery's not got a whole squad of new players. Lots of those players were there when he joined. Eddie Howe at the weekend, 6 of the starting 11 were there in the team that were bottom when he took them over 2.5, 3 years ago. So I think it all depends on mentality of the club and the fans. And I think at the moment, the mentality of the fans and the club, we're all over the place as a fan base, I think, and as a club. That's my opinion. I'm not sure if that answers any of your questions, but that's my take on it.
I do agree with you. I do agree with you. I think I was going to go to this later, but now that you said it, let me just talk about it now. I think that what we need is, and this is why I don't want Ange. If Ange is willing to show me that he's willing to adapt, he's willing to change his system, is willing to adapt to certain situations, then I will back him. I will gladly back him. But this man hasn't shown me that he's willing to adapt. And the reason why I say he hasn't shown me he's willing to adapt is simple. Before Ange came to Tottenham, a lot of people were talking about how, when Celtic played Real Madrid, Celtic played the same way, Celtic did this, Celtic did that. In one of his press conferences, he also said that he doesn't change his philosophy. He uses different profile of players. So you can use an Eze against the low block, and a Brennan Johnson who likes to run it behind against a Manchester City who leaves space in behind. So he doesn't change the system, but the different players change the system. And that is, when doing my research, those are the things I found out from him. Now, that's perfectly fine. So this is a man that you're telling me did not used to adapt to anything before he came. All of a sudden, he's adapting against Manchester City. He's going more pragmatic. And people will come and tell me, oh, Teslim, you said Ange doesn't adapt. Well, he's adapting against Manchester City. No, he's adapting because people like Football Heritage, people like Tottenham Away are pointing out that he doesn't adapt, and then the media is picking up on it, and then the media is saying it, and then he's realizing he needs to make that change. Not because this manager used to do that before, not because this manager ever did that.
Well, look, let me answer this, and then I will have to get the next person on if that's all right. Look, for me, look, I think when we talk about adaptation, I think there's two ways of looking at it. First of all, I think when you play Man City, I don't think you have a choice how you play. And what I mean by that is whether Man City are in good form or not. And let's be fair, everyone's got such short memories. Everyone only remembers 2 weeks. Forget the last 8 years that they've been winning absolutely everything in world football. What people do is they remember the last 2 weeks. When you play Man City, so when Man City came to White Hart Lane 2 weeks ago, Man City have the football. That's their way of playing. So when we say we adapted, yeah, but you've kind of got no choice. You can't go toe to toe with Man City. If you try and play Man City, 9 times out of 10, you are going to lose. So when a lot of teams get joy, it is when they sit back and try and counter on Man City. Adaptation for me is forget when you're playing Man City and Liverpool. I want to see him adapt in games like yesterday. At half-time, we're 2-0 down at home, booed off at half-time. I'm looking for, right, what subs have you made in the changing room at half-time? How many hair dryers have you thrown at people? Like, remember when Alex Ferguson, he used to throw football boots at people? Remember the old David Beckham thing? I want to see, have they come out riled up? Have you made 2 substitutions? Have you changed to a 4-4-2? Have you changed to a 3 at the back? What have you done to try and change it? But he doesn't. It's go back out there again. And for me, we just have to look at managers like the Brighton manager. We've watched live twice now against Man City and Tottenham that the Brighton manager has made changes at half-time that have changed the game completely changed the game from games they were losing badly in to end up winning. That, for me, is a top manager. That, for me, is adaptation. But listen, I've got a few people waiting, so I'm going to have to let you go. But listen, please come back on again, bro. I really appreciate that. And thank you very much. Really good talk. Enjoyed that.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Take care, buddy. Thank you. Big up to absolutely everyone. I'm going to bring on Ryan in a second. I've got Ryan, then Rudang, I think it's pronounced. Then I've got Jay, then Eugene, then Hussein. Sorry. So if you are in the background, please just watch the show as normal. I will get to you. All right. I will get to you. So I can see you all looking at me in the little cameras at the bottom. So it's a bit scary, but big up to absolutely everyone in the chat. Just quickly, Today is to FM. Has become a YouTube channel member. A lovely little thumbnail there of Ange bending over. Big up to you. Thank you for becoming a channel member. Teslim, I'm going to kick you out, man, but with all respect. All right. So you take care, buddy.
Thank you so much.
See you, mate. Okay, let me bring in Ryan. Ryan with his kitten as always. Ryan,
yeah.
It feels like every week our conversations go like this. What do you want to say, buddy?
No, look, do you know what? It's getting to the point, Sav, right? That it's my birthday has started off. My birthday week has started off absolutely poor.
Right.
After yesterday's performance. Literally, I thought we would have actually smashed them 5-0, but quite clearly that didn't seem to happen, did it, in any way, shape, or form? Yeah. And Ange is just so far out of his depth. Literally, Ange is out of his depth. There's no place for him in the Premier League, in the for a top 6 team anyway. And it's got to the point where it's just a shambles. Levy, obviously, we all know what Levy needs to do. He needs to just go. And I was saying yesterday, to someone that Amanda Staveley must be absolutely shitting herself, in other words, after seeing that performance yesterday.
I mean, look, with the Amanda Staveley thing, I think it all depends on what Amanda Staveley's coming into the football club for. Look, I think there's 2 schools of thought here. I think when us normal people, and when I say normal, I just mean like we're not managers, we're not directors of football, you know, we're just the fans, right? We're just normal football fans. I think when we see Amanda Staveley wants to buy a stake in Spurs, we all go, oh my God, yes, Levy's effing off. We're going to have Amanda Staveley. She wants to win things. It's not quite that though, is it? It's a stake.
Well, it's funny you say that, Sam. It's funny you say that because I was when I first heard it, I was exactly like what you just said. Levy's going to now bog off, but I don't know. To be honest, I'd like to see that happen, to be honest, because then it means we get new owners in, and then that means we might actually have a pretty decent football club.
Yeah, but I think the difficulty is when people ask for a new football club. And by the way, I've been, I've been Levy out since October 2007. If anyone wants to know why I know the exact date, it was the date that Martin Jol was sacked at halftime during a football game. And I went, nah, this isn't it. I've not been proved wrong since. He's a dreadful owner from a football perspective. Football business, crack on. Listen, I always think if I'm running a multi-billion-pound business, I want Daniel Levy running it. But we're a football team, right? I want to see some trophies and some, something on that side of things. Look, Amanda Staveley, for me, probably looks at everything going on at Spurs and thinks this is a wonderful investment opportunity from a revenue generation setting, if we will. She will see that we've got the best stadium in the world. We've got one of the best training grounds. I've not been to every training ground, but our training ground is phenomenal, by the way. It is, honestly, it's like you're going on a 10-star hotel, pampered every day. So when these people look to when people like Amanda Staveley look at that, they'll look and say, well, they've got all the concerts, all the boxing, all the NFL, look at all the money they're generating. I want a piece of that action. Is Amanda Staveley looking at it and going, I want to join Spurs, I want to have a stake, and I want to make them the best club in the world on the pitch? I'm not sure that's quite happening, Ryan. I think she's, I can't see Levy going. I don't know why he would. He's got no need to. He's built, they didn't build this to go immediately. They built this to make their money. And then when they've made sufficient money, Daniel Levy will retire and probably leave it to his son. So, we're in this for the long run. And we've already got the longest serving chairman in the history of the Premier League. And it's the same year in, year out. So I don't expect anything to change.
Well, at least Daniel Levy's winning a trophy on something then. Being the longest serving manager, owner, I suppose. But that's not good enough for the rest of the football club, is it, really? Because we want to be seeing trophies year in, year out in the trophy cabinet.
Yeah, look, I think we're at the stage where we're so desperate for a trophy. And not only internally, externally, fans of other fan bases laugh at us. And I get it. Like when I go onto a panel with a Chelsea fan, a Man U fan, a City fan, Liverpool fan, I can sit there and fight my corner all I want. They're laughing at me. We're nobodies, really. We might beat them every now and then in a one-off game, but they know we're no trouble to them for the big trophies. We're gate crashing that big six, if you will. We're the poor relations of that big six. So, look, for me, Ryan, I just think I can't see anything changing anytime soon. I think it's going to take a mammoth outright bid. I'm talking a £4-5 billion bid to
But don't you think the Saudis could afford to do that, though, Savva? Don't you think the Saudis are the only ones that would do it? Because if you go back and look at Amanda Staveley when she was at Newcastle, she brought Saudis in. Couldn't that be something that could happen again?
I mean, look, I don't know, right? I'm not a billionaire. I'm guessing that there's a limited number of billionaires across the world. And I wonder how many of them are sitting down and going, yeah, I want that. And look, everything's there for them. If a billionaire does come in, everything's there for them in the long term. They don't need to come in and do anything infrastructure-wise. They don't need to do anything for boxing, for NFL, for concerts, for Formula One, for the football stadium. They don't need to do that. I suppose it's just about, does that new owner come in and say, right, my aim is I want to leave a legacy. My aim is I'm going to come in here. I'm going to drop all these hundreds of millions of pounds every year. I'm going to buy top players. I'm going to pay top wages, and we're going to make these fans proud. if not, where do we go from here, Ryan? Like, at the moment, I can't see anything changing. It's been like this for 24 years, so I can't see anything changing.
I would love to see things change, though, Sav, because it's getting stale. If you think about it, it's like literally having like bread that's gone off, and it's just sitting there in your cupboards. Like that's how bad it's got.
Look, I am going to get Eugene on in a second. Then after Eugene, I've got Hussein. And then after Hussein, I've got Sabello. I think it's pronounced that. He'll let me know if it's not. But look, we're sitting here having the same conversations day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out. Tottenham Hotspur sell a dream to the fans. Some fans believe it. Some of us are too old and ugly. Look at this line on my head. Right, that shows you how old I am. That's a Tottenham Hotspur line, right? That's a Tottenham Hotspur line. Okay, I'm. Listen, younger fans, dream, run with it. This is the year. We're buying this. We're winning this. I've seen this all before, mate. My friends know. I used to go to my friends and go, "Have you seen the players we've signed? We're coming for you." And they used to be like, "All right, Tottenham." As I've got older, I don't even bother. I don't bother, mate. I don't bother. I don't think we've.
No.
But look, Ryan, I am going to let you go. When's your birthday? Which day this week?
Today.
It's today. Happy birthday. How old are you? 36?
30. Well, no, I feel like I'm about 50 odd, but no, I'm 33 today.
33. Big up to you, my man. Listen, I'm not trying to knock off any years off your life. Happy birthday. Go and celebrate. Go and enjoy. And Tottenham aren't playing today, so they're not going to ruin your day. Happy birthday. And I am going to kick you off, all right? So take care.
Cheers, man.
Bro. See you, man.
Yeah, see you later.
Take care. Right, so just so you know, so I've got Eugene, then Hussein, then Sabello. I think we lost we lost somebody, but they're going to try and come back in a minute. It was Mrodang, I believe it's pronounced. Eugene, all the way from the United States of the America. No?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm shaking my head.
Good.
I'm
checking. I thought you were from America. Okay, been a big week for you guys. New president. Tottenham losing to Galatasaray and to Ipswich. So are you happy with any of those three things?
Perhaps.
Okay.
The election is the only reason why I didn't focus on the Spurs and why I wasn't fuming. It's like there's something more important going on. So at least let me, just focus on that. Otherwise, my head would be gone even worse. So. But
no worries. Well, look, let's forget about that for the moment. That was last week. You'll have a new president in 4 years. We can worry about that then. Tottenham Hotspur, Eugene. Man. What do you want to talk about, man? It doesn't have to be Spurs.
Yeah, I was here after the wins, and now it was the shambolic performance. So I'm here as well. Mm-hmm. And in the group chat, all the group chats. I'm sure there are all the debates about engine out. Oh, sorry. Am I okay? Cool.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
I'm good. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm just looking at yesterday's game. Like, regardless of the tactics, the players on the pitch were good enough to beat that Ipswich team. Like, I don't care if I'm managing or you're managing. And we see the same issue every other game. Just the players don't turn up, right? I can say about, well, look, in the second half, Ange didn't have anybody to bring on. Timo was the only option as a forward, right? Everybody else is hurt. Our squad is paper thin. We have no options to players. No, but I'm saying right now, I'm making excuses, right? I'm making excuses. Ultimately, it's as we talked about before, it's bigger than Ange, it's bigger than the players, right? Like it doesn't matter. Like at this point, unfortunately, I find myself not even be that upset.
Yeah.
And I'm just, at the point where I don't care, which actually makes me nervous. It's like, if I don't care anymore, whether we win or lose, like what's the point of being a fan? And at this point, we've seen the same story under all kinds of managers, serial winners, Ryan Mason, Stellini. Like, it doesn't matter. Just the players don't turn up. We're paper thin. Last year, we didn't bring a center back for 4 months, which cost us the top 4. This year, we don't have any decent options. on the bench. We have Johnson. We have Timo. It's shambles. It's crazy.
Listen, hang on. I tell you what. So this is where I'm going to come into my own, and this is where I love talking about football, right? What I find, not from you, but where I find a lot of Tottenham fans very disingenuous is they big up the transfer windows, they big up the manager. They tell me how great Bentancur, Romero, Van der Ven, Porro, Sarr, Udogie, Vicario, Johnson, Son, Solanke, yada, 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 this player, that player. And everyone's brilliant. And when I turn around at the beginning of the season and say, listen, I don't think we're going to get top 4. I don't think the squad's strong enough. Oh, you're negative, Savva. Oh, just believe Savva. Suddenly, when things aren't going well, oh, but the players we signed aren't good. Okay, well, hang on. I was trying to say that, and I was told they were good. I was told these were the right players. However, I will not hear that excuse for games against Coventry.
Right.
Performances against Ferencvaros that was crap. I will not hear that excuse for Galatasaray. I will not hear that excuse for Ipswich. I will not hear that excuse for Palace. The players on the pitch were more than good enough. The question I've got is, if you've got players 1 to 11, our players are better than Ipswich, Coventry, Palace, whoever, right? Not being arrogant, they are. We're going to finish higher than those clubs for a reason. My question is, have they stopped playing for him? Because yesterday, a big club turns that around. A big club makes changes at half time. A big club, they play and fight for their manager. I didn't see any fight. I just thought we came out after half time, nearly got the goal with Solanke. Obviously, it was disallowed. And after that, it felt like we went flat for another 10, 15 minutes. I don't feel there's any passion. I don't think there's any belief. I don't think the players like playing this system. That's only my opinion. I just don't think they do.
You know what I think this is, and I've seen it before in different sports and football as well. I think certain players or certain teams, they turn up for big games and they don't turn up for smaller games. So against Man U, we played great. Against Villa, we played great. I bet you against City, we'll play well. But for smaller games that we're supposed to win, for some reason, the players don't turn up. And again, we've seen this again. And I don't know what this is. I don't know if they whether a manager needs to motivate them but in my mind, the players need to motivate themselves, right? The difference between a great player and a good player is consistency and the drive. If we see Bissouma,
you don't need to tell me about consistency. It's my word. It's my thing.
No, exactly. So if we see Bissouma put in a great shift, play really well in one game, but next game he doesn't, right? We can talk about tactics all we want, but ultimately it's up to the players to hold each other accountable. So I feel like we've seen, again, this team turns up for big games, but Southampton, Ipswich, all these games against smaller teams, they don't turn up. So in my mind, is that tactics or is that the mentality of the players?
But again, a top manager doesn't let this happen all the time, right? This is the difference. Listen, can upsets happen? Of course they can happen. Tottenham have had 2 in 2 weeks, right? Tottenham have lost to Palace and Ipswich, 2 teams that have won no other games of football this season in the league, right? And we've done it twice. For me, the question I'm asking is, when you go in 2-0 down at half time to Ipswich, what is the manager saying in that changing room? Because do I think that we've got the greatest 11 in the world? Of course I don't. Do I think we've got the greatest bench? No. Should we be dominating and beating Ipswich? Should we be first to every ball? Should we be winning every tackle? Should we be trying to win every header? Should we be throwing the kitchen sink at them when we're losing with 15 minutes to go? Yes. But we've got a manager that brings on James Maddison with 7 minutes to go. And I saw one YouTube yesterday said, oh, well, he did nothing when he came on. Like, he gave the guy 7 minutes. What do you want James Maddison to do in 7 minutes of football? Like, genuinely, what do we want him to do? So for me, when people are saying we didn't have players to bring off the bench, you had James Maddison, Timo Werner, whatever we want to say about him, the club signed him, Ange has agreed to this signing twice. I don't care what anyone says. He's agreed to this twice, right? We're paying him 165 grand a week. Will Lancashire scored midweek. We need a goal this week. Doesn't even bring him on. If you're not going to bring on Will Lancashire in a home game against Ipswich when we need a goal, get him out on loan. What's the point? If you do not trust him, there was nothing to lose, right, Eugene? In the last 15 minutes of that game, you're losing. You've got nothing to lose. You go for it. You get all your attacking players on. Get Maddison on for the last 20. Get Lancashire on for the last 20. Get balls into that box. Nope. We don't see any of that type of inventiveness from Ange. And for me, listen, the players aren't blameless. Of course they're not. They're the ones out on the pitch. I don't know whether or not they buy into it. I genuinely don't think they buy into it. I don't.
Perhaps. But again, I mean, we did, beat Man U and Villa. And then when you watch those games, like, oh, the players are playing for Ange. So it's just the inconsistency, like, it's not that one thing. And again, it happened under Conte and Jose as well. We can just say, oh, it's Ange, right? We've seen this before. We lost to a team whose manager was in prison, for God's sake, right? It's like...
Sure, but all these managers have different teams and different players, right? I think when we say we've seen this before, when I look at the teams Jose and Conte had, right, and I look at some of the players we've got now, those managers would have bitten your hand off for this squad. Jose and Conte would have bitten your hand off to have wing backs like Porro and Udogie. They would have bitten your hand off to have this selection. Listen, I don't think they're amazing, but those managers are top managers. They'd get the best out of these players.
No,
right?
I agree. I agree. The players are definitely better, but I think, like, in my mind, like, you need to have a winning atmosphere in the changing room, right? Otherwise, you can bring in different players. But if the club does not have high expectations, and if there is no leadership, a real leadership committee, and players don't expect to win, and the winning comes top down from the board, from the manager, from Levy, right? If that core isn't there, if the players don't have that mentality, you can bring in different players, but results are going to be the same, in my mind.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. The last question, then I am going to bring on Sabello, who's been waiting.
Yep.
It's going to be Sabello, then Rodang. Sean is behind them. Sean, I'm going to need you to put your camera on, buddy. Without the camera, there'll be no entry. It's just like a nightclub. There you go. There's the camera. Good man. Eugene, last question, then I am going to bring Sabello on. When we talk about the winning mentality comes from the top down, this manager, when asked about leadership, said he didn't want to buy it. He wants to nurture it. He said he didn't want to bring leaders to this club. What message does that send when your manager is acknowledging that you need leaders, but said he chose the route of trying to grow them? You can't just grow leaders. You can't look at a 20-year-old and go, in 4 years, that's my lead. Like, you can't do that. You need men. You need grown men have been there, seen it, and done it. Like, we don't have that at all. We've got even our older players. They're all weak, fragile. Like, do you know what I mean? Son is our captain. He's a lovely guy. Do you look at Son and go, he inspires me? That's my leader. I'm not sure.
No, I agree. And as you said before, last time we had a leader, he was what? Scott Parker. I mean, who else, right? So it's been decades, and I agree with you. I don't put much stock in what Ange says, just given the way he is, but I agree with you about, and I've been saying it for many years now, that we don't have players who hold each other accountable. I love Sonny; he's a great guy, but he's not a person who would hold somebody accountable. Until we bring in 1, 2, or 3 of those players, they don't even have to be top players, right? They just need to possess leadership ability, and they need to bring that mentality into the locker room. Like in Liverpool, we look at like a Jordan Henderson, right? Not the best player.
That's the same thing. Exactly.
Yep.
Not the best player in the world.
The mentality was there. Yep.
But the mentality, right? Not the best player in the world, but a player that comes in and you go, this guy wants to win. This guy wants to win at all costs. You know, this is why in the summer, I know it wasn't going to happen. This is why I wanted a player like Conor Gallagher. I wanted a player with that engine, with that. Conor Gallagher to me is a man on the pitch. He's not a boy. He's not a boy. He's a man. He'll get stuck in the tackle. He's geeing up his teammates. He's everywhere on the pitch. We need a player like that. But our fans go, no, he's not better than so-and-so.
But Savva, that goes back to, you know, what we talked about before. Like, I don't specifically like Gallagher, but we all know that Ange wanted him and we didn't get him. Same with Eze. So it's like, he says one thing, but if we actually look at what's happening, we know what's happening, right? I'm sure he asked for other players to do that we don't know about.
Eugene, he should be honest. Because all I've heard from the cult of Ange, that's what I call them now, the cult of Ange is, you don't know Ange. If he's not given what he wants, he'll leave. Then Ange comes out and says, I've been given what I want. This is who I picked. He ain't left. But look, Eugene, listen, dude, you know I love you. I've got 3 or 4 people waiting. I'm going to let you go. Commiserations on the election, and I will speak to you soon. All right, buddy?
Great show as always.
Thanks, man. Take care. See you later. Right, just so you know, the running order, it's going to be Sabello, followed by Murdang, followed by Sean, and then is it Napeth? Napeth? Am I saying one of those right? Just give me a thumbs up. Napeth? First one, second one, he's not giving me any indication. So when we get to him, we'll find out how it's actually said. Big up to close enough. Okay, he said close enough. Big up to Anna. Thank you very much. Just before I bring on Sabello, said having a shiny stadium and training ground is great, but if the team is not being bettered, our wage cap tells us the trajectory we are set on. The business outweighs all. The squad is an afterthought. Anna, you know I don't disagree with you. This is why I was so disappointed with Ange. If you're not getting what you want, don't come out and say you're getting what you want. Just don't say anything. Because Conte came out and said it. I wanted this, and this. The club didn't want to bet themselves. Ange is coming out and saying, I've been backed. This is on me. It's noble, but it's a bit silly. But Anna, as always, very generous today. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. Thank you for all your support on the channel. Really do appreciate you. And please do keep smashing the like button, people. Only 113 likes, 313 people in here at the moment. So please smash that button. Sabello, welcome to the stage, my man. How you doing?
I'm good. And you, Savva?
Yeah,
Can you hear me good?
I'm good. I'm always good, mate. Spurs losing doesn't upset me anymore. It's kind of like water off a duck's back. So what do you want to say? What do you want to talk about?
No, I just wanted to come and just call you guys out, you and Kuva, like how you guys are always glazing the other players, but when it comes to our play, you guys just treat them as like second citizens. Like the other players in other teams, they always they're these amazing players, but they also have their bad games. And you guys never mention that stuff, but you always put to say something about our players, how average they are, how bad they are. But when it comes to Cole Palmer or Van Dijk, it's like they've never had a bad game in their lives. Or Saka, it has they're perfect, they're the best players ever. But every time yesterday with Kuva, can I just say, Kuva, I was so angry at him because he goes on and on before the game of Ipswich, goes on and on about how amazing Cole Palmer is, how he wish he had him. But Cole Palmer has been missing in the big 6 games, just like our players, every time. Why are we all raving about Cole Palmer and all these players and Saka and who else, Matoma? You guys are always waving lyrics about them, saying they're so good. And then when it comes to our players, they just okay, yeah, I'm not defending our players, but you guys are just I don't know, just keep the same standards with when you judging other players, you must also judge them and how you judge our players also. Don't just wax lyrical about these players, but they also have bad games. I just don't understand. Yesterday with Bentancur didn't have such a bad game. Bentancur had a decent game. He even scored for us. But when you got out yesterday, you were yeah, he needed to be off. He needs to be what? Why does he need to be off? He's not even the worst player there. Romero is the worst player. Romero doesn't even feel like playing for our team. Romero thinks he's playing for charity. That's how he treats our team, as charity. He's looking forward to play for Argentina. That's why yesterday he was switched off. He was switched off because but carry on.
Let me know when you want me to respond. Let me know when you're finished.
Okay, no, just Okay, responding that first bit, because I just want to know why. What's with this? Like you always, like
Sure.
you know, you.
Sure. I love people like you coming onto this show. You ignite something in me which makes me love football. Right. First and foremost, I was going to say to you when you were saying that, and big up to Kuva. I'm sure he's in the chat catching some stray shrapnel in the place. Look, first and foremost, I was going to say, give me an example of some players, and I was really hoping that you'd say something really silly, and you did. If you're going to come onto my show and mock me for praising players, don't make it some of the best players in the Premier League. It's just silly, right? So when you're saying Cole Palmer, right? Cole Palmer has got 45 GA in 41 games, right? Now, if you're going to sit there and truly tell me that that is not praiseworthy and that is not consistent, we've got a problem, because hang on. I'll let you go. That is class. Yeah. Cole Palmer is bloody brilliant at what he does. He plays for a team that for the last year or so have been very hit and miss, new players, growing, building. He's been the starlight, turning up most games, right? 45 GA in 41 games, right? That is phenomenal, right? Spurs don't have a player that can touch that. Spurs don't have a player probably that can ask half of that. So that's Cole Palmer, right? Virgil van Dijk, another really silly example. You've picked the best centre-back in the Premier League and one of the best centre-backs in world football to ask me why I praise him compared to, I don't know, I'm guessing Van de Ven and Romero. Van Dijk is a monster. That man is brilliant. Yeah, he had that dodgy period when he first came back from that year out, of course. Since then, that guy is phenomenal. Every club in the world, Virgil van Dijk gets into. Yeah? No? Do you agree?
Yes, I do.
Right. Virgil van Dijk. So we've got Virgil van Dijk, one of the best defenders in the world, if not the best defender in the world, give or take. Cole Palmer, who's got the best GAs of any player in the Premier League in the last 41 games, right? And he's only 22 or whatever he is, right? Now, the last player, who was the last player? You mentioned Saka. Now, here's where I don't think you listen too well to what I say. For me, I've always said I think Saka's a good player. Ask the Arsenal fans in the chat. Here you go. Ask Angus. Angus, what do I think of Saka? I think Saka's a good player. I don't think he's special. I think he's
better than Son.
Sorry?
Do you think he's better than Son?
Right now, I think he's better than Son. Not in their prime. Sorry. Okay. Right now, am I picking a Son at 33 or a Saka at his age doing what he's doing? I'm picking Saka. Now, that doesn't mean that for the last 7-8 years, Son hasn't been brilliant. But again, context needs to exist. Son is not what he was. And Saka is a player going that way on his trajectory. Do I think he's amazing? I don't think he's amazing. But I do think he's a very good player that's played in a top team for a number of years and more often than not is their better player. So before we go to the other side of what you said, does that answer your question as to why I praise players like Cole Palmer and Virgil van Dijk as opposed to Rodrigo Bentancur? Hello? You still there?
Sorry,
Can you hear me? Hello?
Sorry, you're kind of freezing. Can I come back on? As you're just freezing now.
Yeah, I'll bring you back on. I'll bring someone else on and I'll bring you back on. We can do part 2 in a minute. I like roasting people in 2 halves, so we can do it in a minute, mate. Think of a better player as an example while you're off, rather than Cole Palmer and Virgil van Dijk. Big up to you, bro. I'll see you in a minute. Thank you very much. I'm going to kick you from the studio. And I did promise that, by the way, guys, if people are going to come on, I get it. Come on, have a go at me. It's fine. But don't pick bloody good players that walk into Spurs' team. It's crazy. Is it Muradang? Muradang? How am I pronouncing this, my friend?
Hi,
Hi, how
hi.
are you doing?
How are you, Savva? Am I
I'm good. How
audible?
are you?
Am I audible?
You're what?
Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Big up, Savva. Big up, Savva. I've been following since 2 years now.
Okay.
Uh,
Thank you.
I won't say I'm a, following for your good things. I've heard a lot of uh, things which were like, get into my mind, and I think it was you sometimes it happens, like you listen to someone and you think why this guy is negative, like always downplays the team which he supports and all. But it's a long time I've understood like what happens under this club, within this club, around this club. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm big up, I will big you up for that, to just open my eyes, like uh, don't call me delusional. I was back
I'm
then.
not going to call you delusional. What is the what is the point you want to talk about? What are you?
Yeah,
Is there
I'm
something
saying
you want
like
to debate or
everything,
agree with? What do you want to
everything.
say?
I'm gonna say like everything you said before, at the start
Yep.
of the season, during the season. It's correct. I mean, players. I don't want to talk about anyone else. Timo Werner. I don't know what to talk about this guy. He's I know, like I've heard about this guy, like a comment which was going through a YouTube channel, which is something like uh, he would miss any building if he was a pilot, you know. And it's fucking horrendous about him. Like I don't know, like why this guy has been here. uh and I know like Ange gave a green flag for this guy to have to come in here and play for Tottenham. I don't
Right.
understand like why. And yesterday's performance, I mean, like, do you know like how many international like the games we have lost before an international break?
I mean, do I know how many?
Yeah,
Yeah,
since
it's right
Ange
here.
came.
There you go. Under
Yeah,
Ange.
exactly.
Five
Yeah,
five
exactly.
games. The 5 games before the international breaks, we've lost every single one. Again, mindset. And this
Hmm.
is why one of my big things about when people keep telling me that Ange Postecoglou has come in, he's changing mindsets. I don't think he is. I think he's making it worse. I think
Yeah,
the
exactly.
results are worse. The form is
Exactly.
worse. Some of the signings he's making are worse than what we've had in years gone by. I
Hmm.
don't know what this guy's brought to Tottenham Hotspur other than a new manager bounce last year. And that was over a year ago. So that's where I stand on it. But your point on Timo Werner, again, this manager has said yes to Timo Werner twice. Now,
Yeah.
if he didn't want Timo Werner, surely he watches him the second half of last season
Hmm.
and says, right, we've had him on loan. We can do better. Get me someone better. But they signed
Yeah.
him the moment the transfer window opened in May. They signed
Hmm.
him again. And that for me shows weak management from Ange, that he should have been saying, I don't know, you've got all summer to find me. You've got all summer to
Exactly.
find me someone better. And he didn't. So
Exactly.
again, weak management for me.
And one more point, and that's my last point. I don't want
Yep.
to speak a lot because I have to jump on. Uh, the thing is, with the mentality of captain, I know like Son has have been chosen by Ange to lead this side. Don't you think he's such a by the way, I don't hate on Son.
Mhm.
I know what he has done for this club, but my personal opinion, and I also heard you saying this, like he's not the same player as he was two
Yep.
seasons before, right?
Yep. Yep.
I think he's very soft to be a captain. I think he don't utter a single word when what the performance yesterday was atrocious. I mean, 2-0 down at the halftime against Ipswich Town, which we gave a gift to them for the first win in Premier League, right? And I don't think so. He's such a captain who will say after being 2-0 down to the players, like, "Come on, guys, we can perform well. We can give our best to win this game at least, or draw a game." I don't think he's a captain material for me. Neither Romero. I don't know with Romero. Is he good with English, or like he's trying to convey his message to the players, like what he needs to do. And I don't also know that who is capable of being a captain of this team, or like a leader which we need.
I mean, look. First of all, I do not think that Son is a captain at all. I said this when he was first appointed. I think Son is a feel-good player. I think the players love Sonny. They respect Sonny. Does that make you an automatic leader? I don't think it does. No. Again, I suppose that there's many different forms of being a captain.
Exactly.
For me, I don't think Spurs need a nice, friendly captain. I think Spurs need someone out there kicking asses. I think Spurs need a leader that goes over to people during injuries and goes, "Oi, what are you doing? Come on, get up for this next 10 minutes." I think it's all very nice. I've said that. It's all very nice all over the pitch. I don't think Romero's a leader. I don't think any of the midfielders are. And I don't think Son is. And again, we've signed a lot of players under Ange, and none of them that have come in are leaders. So for me,
I guess, sorry, but I guess all of them are like, pretty nice. They are like good guys, which are very soft spoken or something. They don't have that, like, leadership quality. Like, they cannot point out to a single person. And name one, Vicario. I mean, he's in a leadership group with Kulusevski as well. But against Galatasaray, I know he was shouting at Archie Gray for something. I guess he played a missed pass, and that ended up being very horrendous thing. And he shouted at Archie Gray. I haven't seen him shouting at Romero. I haven't saw him shouting at Van de Ven, at Poro. I don't know. Like, he always shouts at the player who is very younger, like Mikey Moore or Archie Gray, Lucas Bergwall. I don't think so.
Yeah, look, I mean, it is what it is, right? I just think that's about being a captain. When you are a captain, you know when to shout, you know when to put an arm around someone's shoulders. You know if a youngster needs a little bit more cajoling. You know if a senior pro needs a telling off. But again, no one for me is a captain. I don't see any leadership. I don't see leadership from the owners. I think the manager's got zero leadership. I think the players have got zero leadership. Hence why I don't ever think we're going to do amazingly. But listen, I am going to let you go. I do need to bring Sean on, and then Isaac, and then after that we've got Ollie talks football. So thank you for coming on, and I do appreciate your time.
Big up, Savva. Always love.
Always, my man. Take care.
Take care. Bye
bye. Big up to the last caller. Everyone in the chat, keep it clean as well, please, people. Big up to Sean. Sean, it's all right. I saw your face, so I know who you are. That works for me. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing very good, mate. First and foremost, I'm a Liverpool fan, so I'm probably going to be able to speak from a space of non-biasness, or I'm not around the Tottenham fans and whatever. And this is the first time that I've come on to the stream and spoken here. So first and foremost,
you're welcome.
Hello, Savva. Hope you're good, mate. Like,
I'm good, my man. I'm good. What do you want to say, guy? Are you going to talk about Spurs or Liverpool?
Well, Liverpool has been in the media too much today, so I feel like I might as well just speak a bit about Tottenham. To be fair, speak on my issues about what I think about Tottenham. Now, my personal opinion is, from the outside looking in, I like Ange. I like his style of play. I like what he does, to be fair. But for me, the day that I started looking at Ange a little bit differently as a rival fan was the day that Arsenal rolled up to your ground without Declan Rice, without Odegaard, and beat you 1-0. He had no clue of what to do. It was the same thing that I've been seeing about Ange. No style of my style of play was he doesn't have a definitive way against playing against top teams. It's always the same way. Look to isolate the wingers, Brennan Johnson or Heung-min Son. And for me, it's very hard to defend him if I'm looking at the outside looking in, because we all know about Enoch. We all know about what's his name? Is it Lewis? Your owner. We know about these guys. They have no ambition of winning. They have no ambition about anything. So if I keep looking at it and I'm just saying to myself, if I'm trying to be fair and honest, it's not looking good for Ange right now.
Look, I'll be honest with you. If I was a fan of another club looking in, I'd like the way that Ange plays as well, because it's very predictable. Teams, you can see it from minute one. And I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Danny from the Hotspur Hood who said the other day that you can see from the first 5 minutes when Spurs play a team, whether or not that team's manager has done their homework on Tottenham. Because teams just go down our channels. They attack Porro and Udogie, who are good footballers but not good defenders. They go over the top because they know we've got the high line. And from there on, you can see who's done their homework. Ipswich did their homework. They overlapped us on the down the flanks. They got crosses into the box. They know that Vicario can't deal with crosses. Another very average player for me that Ange has signed. And look, people say they like the way he plays. More often than not, I'm bored watching Tottenham, if I'm brutally honest. I think people see these 10, 15-minute spells where we batter teams, but there's a lot of the game where it's a lot of really boring sideways passing at the back. Romero to Van de Ven to Romero to Bentancur to Sarr, back to Romero. And it's like, oh, come on. Like, I feel like we want some energy and we want some get up and some go. And look, it's not for me, but maybe you can take him instead of Arnie Slot and send Arnie Slot to White
No.
I didn't think so.
But you know what it is though, Savva? When I'm watching Tottenham, because for me, listen, I don't support any of the rival teams, only Liverpool, but I've always had an affinity towards Tottenham because I was growing up around the days of Gareth Bale, Van der Vaart. I was growing up on Luka Modric, even the young Kyle Walker. I've always liked Spurs because they were rivals to Arsenal, and I hate Arsenal fans. You can't stand them type of pricks. So I would always have an affinity towards Tottenham. And the way I would always look at Tottenham is it's a team that can go places. I've always thought Tottenham are a team that can go places. But I always feel like it's the fans that let yourself down, and not just you, not you, Savva, and not the people in here. Because I'm aware of your your audience, the people that come on here. I know that you guys have a bit of ambition about yourselves. You guys want to win. You guys want to compete. But it's just some fans are just they've become a mediocre. They've accepted mediocrity. They've accepted what Daniel Levy has thrown away. And for me, when I look at Ange, I thought that was the beginning of something. But if I'm being honest, I feel like Ange has been swallowed up by Enoch and Daniel Levy. That's not to sit here and say that he doesn't deserve his blame. Well, he 100% deserves the blame that he's getting, because you can't sit there and sign the players that you've signed this summer and not find a way to change your style of play. After the second half of last season, you accept that most of the teams that you played against in the second half of last season, if I'm not mistaken, weren't you guys in the bottom 10 for form between January and May last season?
So that was. I've got stats coming out of my ears. Don't worry about that. Yeah, listen. So essentially, since this week last year, Tottenham Hotspur. I can show you. Look, this is how I've always got these things down. So since then, Spurs have played 39 league games since this week last year. Okay, and we've won 17 of them. We've lost 17 of them and drawn 5. We've lost 17 games in a calendar year in the league. That's forgive my French. Well, it's my show. It's shit. That is diabolical. And the worrying thing about that, Sean, is that 10 of those defeats have come in the last 18 games. So what it shows you is we're actually doing that. Our form is going like that. But people don't want to look at that because they want to go with emotion. Oh, I like Ange, and Ange does this, and Ange apparently plays attacking football. We've lost 10 of 18 games this year. We've lost 5 of 11 already. It's really poor.
And for me, the way I look at it, if I was to look at it as a Spurs fan, even if you enjoy the way that he plays, even if you enjoy his principles, you can't sit there and accept the way the season has started. Even though that, if I'm not wrong, your fixtures haven't even been that difficult if you look at it on face value. If I'm not mistaken, after the international break, you guys play a lot of tough games after the international break. Yeah. So if that look, is
Sean,
just...
Sean, let's be fair. This season, Spurs have taken 1 point from Leicester, from Leicester, Ipswich, and Palace.
That's
1 point, right? 1 point. So again, whenever people tell me how great it is, and I mean, there's a guy in the chat right now who's going, "Oh, when you actually look at XG and touches and pressures, look how good we are." Those things aren't. It's a results business.
You can't measure them on results. You can't measure them.
No.
There's no table for them because you're not getting points for XG. You're not winning titles for that. So you have to.
Absolutely.
It just. What I was going to say, the last thing I was going to say was,
go on.
For Tottenham, the standards that they need to set for themselves is they have to accept that, and I'm not accept because I do want Tottenham to start winning trophies. I feel like 15 years, 16 years is too long to not win something. But I feel like with Tottenham, they have to accept that if you want Ange out, there can't be another process. There cannot be another process under ENIC. There cannot be another process under Daniel Levy. You have to do as much as you can to get them out, because as long as they're there, you're not going to win a trophy, in my opinion. You've won one trophy in 24 years.
Sean, I listen. I've been Daniel Levy and ENIC out for, as I said, since October 2007, and I will have to let you go after this because I've got to bring Isaac on. He's been waiting really patiently.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Look, we can sit here as fans and say, "Out, Levy out, ENIC out."
Mm-hmm.
These guys own a 3-4 billion dynasty. This isn't like when people wanted Mike Ashley out of Newcastle. And I can't believe I'm going to say this. This sounds so weird when I say it in my head, but that was only 300 million. I know that's mad because, like, if I had 300 million, I don't know what I'd do. But it's not like we're saying, "Oh, okay, Mike Ashley's going to sell Newcastle for 300 million." There's loads of people in the world that can afford 300 million pounds, right? There's loads of people that can put those consortiums together. Tottenham Hotspur is going to go for about 4 or 5 billion, right? That's the dynasty they've built. So when we're sitting here going, ENIC out, Levy out, do you or anyone else think that Daniel Levy will see fans like me and like other people going, "Out, get out"?
No,
and he'll have a look inside the stadium and go, "Well, there's 63, 64, whatever it is, 62,000 people here. They're all drinking pints that fill up from the bottom. Look how many people have bought Hong-Min Son shirts at the club shop.
Yep.
We're selling Beyonce merchandise, Adele merchandise, Lady Gaga. We've got all the NFL shirts that are going." Daniel Levy's not going to give a shit that there's a small portion of fans that don't like him. And this has always been the problem. You can force out managers, right? Managers are easy to force out. Once fan pressure gets a bit strong, chairman go, "Yeah, I don't need this shit." You can't force out owners that are going to put a price on the club of about 4 billion. So I hear you. I don't think we're ever going to listen. We might nick the odd trophy. We might, but I don't have any. When I see Spurs fans losing their minds at the beginning of the season that this is our year and look at this squad, I just go, "Oh God, not again." We haven't learned.
We did it from last season, yeah.
We haven't learned for 20 years, right? And then our fans this season haven't learned from the first 10 games last season when they're embarrassing themselves, telling everyone we're going to win a league title. It's embarrassing. So look, Sean, thank you very much. I am going to let you go. I'm going to bring on Isaac. But thank you very much. I enjoyed that. So thank you for coming on.
There's one thing I wanted to say before I go, just the last thing. I'm a Liverpool fan, and you guys play Man City after the international break. You have to do us a favor, man. Do us a favor, man.
Mate, we're 16th in the form table for away teams. We're not good away from home.
You love Man City, though. You love playing Man City. You love playing Man City. Tottenham and Man City. It's a match.
Yeah, but when we've done well at Man City, it's when we've put 10 men behind the ball with players like Son and Kane on the counter-attack. It's not the way we play now. So, look, I hope we do. I cannot see it. I think City will destroy us. I think they're going to come back a different team, players fit after the international break, and you're going to see City go on one of their usual runs till now and the end of the season. But listen, Sean, big up. Good luck for the season, I'll see you soon, all right?
You too, man. Take care.
Take care, buddy. See you later. I'm going to bring on Isaac now. Just quickly before I do, please smash the like button. We should have 200 likes, only 136. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We're on the road to the road. It sounds so weird saying that. The next milestone is 15K. We're a fair way off, but listen, we got 14K last week, and we're already another 230 people in front of that. So let's try and get that up to 15K as quickly as possible. I'm going to bring on Isaac. Thank you so much for your patience. Appreciate it.
No problem.
How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Not bad. I'm just going to have a drink because I'm parched. But you talk. You tell me what you want to talk about, and we'll go.
I want actually to continue on what Sean was talking about with the fixtures. Because I was looking at our league fixtures, and I honestly don't see us picking up a point until December 29th, right? Because if you go through it, Man City away, it's Man City away, all right? We're Spurs. Fulham at home, that's a game we can very much lose. The way Fulham have been playing and the way we've been inconsistent, we can lose that game. Bournemouth away, already beat Arsenal, already beat City, right? And then it's our turn to rock up away as well. Then you got Chelsea at home. We saw how that went last year. They're better this year. I'd argue we're worse this year. The loss. Southampton away. That would have been the one win, but we went to Crystal Palace and lost, and we lost to Ipswich yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Then you got Liverpool at home. I don't even say anything. Forest away. Forest are what? Third right now, if I'm mistaken. Right? And it's also Spurs away. And then you have Wolves at home, which is on the 29th. And that was where I thought, okay, we should win that game. So going based off of Spurs form last season, going into this season, it's very possible for us to go more than a month without winning a game.
Look, do you know what? If I did a video on that, do you know what all the other YouTubers would say about me? Look, listen, as much as Spurs are up and down, I think the fact that we are up and down means that we will pick up points in that time.
Right.
Now, whether or not we can all sit here and predict which ones is Tottenham, flick a coin. We could quite easily beat Chelsea at home and then lose the next one to Southampton away. That's what Tottenham are like. That's what we do at times. Equally, we could beat Liverpool at home. I'm not saying we will. I mean, Liverpool are going to be heavy favourites, right? They're a very good team. They on the counter-attack, they're going to absolutely get in behind us. And if they're clinical, it's going to be tough. But we will pick up points. Whether we pick up enough points to be where we want to be come the end of December, beginning of January, I don't know. Because between now and the end of, just in December, we've got 9 games. We've got 9 games in 27 days. So we're playing every 3 games. And people are talking about, oh my God, we haven't got the players and we've got injuries. And listen, this is what the transfer window was for. We knew this was coming.
Right.
And we didn't buy. You know, we should have bought Cole Palmer and Virgil van Dijk, you know, those really good players that I can't stop raising.
Or this British striker in Germany that's doing well. I've heard he's pretty okay. He's pretty good.
Yeah, but he's not bad, him. He's not
bad. But like about the squad and the signings, right? People say that we have a better team now, but I went through it, right? So we got rid of Dyer to sign Dragusin. I'd say that's not really an upgrade from what we've seen so far.
There you go.
We sold Mora to bring in Timo Werner. Is that an upgrade? I'd argue.
Not for me. Not for me. No.
Not for me either. We sold Højbjerg to get Gray, but we play him at right back, right? So that's a midfield hole. We sold Royal to keep Jed Spence, and he doesn't play at right back. He doesn't play at all.
He gets a minute, does he?
Right?
He doesn't get a minute. Yeah. You're right.
We got rid of Gio and got Bergvall, and I live in Sweden, right? And he's Swedish, so like that's kind of my guy, but he's not ready. Very clear that he's not ready, and that's why he doesn't really play either. And then we didn't sign a left back. I'm guessing we kept Davies to kind of have him play makeshift. Davies play center back, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then we shifted our starting right winger, Kulusevski, into midfield and brought Odegaard to be a backup to the backup, which is Brennan Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
So in what way what I tell my friends and so on is that we haven't has improved. Like, how's the squad really improved?
Well, look, I always keep photos in stock, right? And again, look, this is my standard photo.
All right.
This is what Tottenham Hotspur thought a summer transfer window looked like. This is what fans have a pop at me for saying that we've had a shit transfer window. Yeah. And they go, oh, But in 5 years, well, we're not in 5 years. We're now. In 5 years, I might weigh 9 stone and have a six-pack. We don't know. Right now, I don't. My wife wishes I did. I don't. Right? That's just the way the world is. And when I looked at this transfer window, again, Gray, Bergvall, Odegaard, Yang, I think their average age is 18.5. Just quickly off the top of my head, if I'm adding up all their ages, right? Roughly 18.5, 19, right? That's all well and good. But do you know what I said, Isaac, today on my show? And thank you to everyone else who is waiting. I will get to everyone, so please be patient. I will get there. What I said on my show this morning was, if Spurs truly wanted, right, and I hate this, a youth project, I have to do that. Because if Spurs truly wanted a youth project, and when I'm told, oh, but it's a process and it's a youth project and wait a few years, do you know what? As a fan, I have a choice to say whether I agree with that or not, right? As a fan, you have a choice. But pick a lane and stay in it. And what I mean is, if we're doing a youth project, get rid of Ben Davis because he's 30, whatever he is, and he's old. Don't bring back Timo Werner at his age. Get rid of Son, right? Because he's older, right? Get rid of yada, 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 yada. Fraser Forster, all right? If you're going to do a youth project,
do it.
Sell some of the players, bring in and start Bergvall and Gray, start Odegaard, start Lancashire. And then if you're going to turn around and say, this is a youth project, I turn around and go, I don't agree with it, but you know what? That's your choice.
Fair.
But what we've done is bought loads of young players. Don't ever bloody play them. Don't bring them on in any Premier League games when we're not winning. And then we have fans that go, yeah, but it is a young team. Is it? Is it really? Like, do you know what I mean? Is it really?
Right.
So, look, people call me a hater, Isaac, right? I'm so fed up with the lies. Spurs fans have got the best coping mechanisms in the world. We are so hungry that if somebody throws us a cracker, we feel like it's a roast dinner. Do you know what I mean? We are in there and we are eating those crumbs. That's what we do. Because, and I'll call it out, most YouTubers are the worst. Most YouTubers can't sit on a screen and tell the truth about the club. What they'll do is they'll go, oh my God, Archie Gray is the greatest central midfielder that's ever been produced. You're like, oh my God. Right,
he's playing right back.
Right. So
he's playing right back. So you can't even tell that.
Agreed. So look, for me, I don't know. Is it a youth project? Is it? I don't know what it is. This is the same 11, Isaac, as last year with Solanke. So for a process, we've changed one player in the summer. That's all we've done.
And that's my last point, right? So when you look at our starting lineup from last year, what were our problems? Left wing, right wing. That was our main issue. Son was doing well enough, scoring enough goals down the middle, right? His hold-up play might not have been as good as Solanke, but he was putting the ball in the net at a better rate than Dominic is at this point. So we spent 60 million on a striker to move our finished winger, because we can all agree Son is not a winger anymore. We spent 60 million to have the same problem as we had last season. Like you're trying to win a game. Agree. You got Son doing what he does on the wing. Brennan Johnson, they're basically doing the same thing. And then Timo Werner comes on and says, you know what, I can be even worse.
But you know what, Isaac, when you look at last year to this year, and I will have to let you go in a minute just because got people waiting, and if I stream all night, then she will kill me. We knew we needed some good wingers. We didn't address it.
Nope. We
knew we needed depth at the back. We didn't address it. We didn't buy, if I'm not wrong, we haven't bought a single defender in the summer. We've then gone into European competition and left out the fullback that can play right and left back in Jed Spence. Like, you know, when you just look at something and, you know, I don't know if you've seen it, like on the phones, you know, when you do a GIF and there's the picture of that guy who's looking up and he's got like all these mathematical equations around his head, right? That's me when I'm thinking about Tottenham and who sat down and went, you know what we need? We need two 18-year-old centre mids, but we don't need any more wingers or defending. My mind blows, honestly, with this football club. My mind blows.
speaking of, if I was Ange, I would be thinking, you guys don't actually believe in me because these players, they're not ready right now. Like, what am I here for? Right? And so, like, I'm pretty sure he must be thinking, like, he's been stitched up, like it's a setup. But at the same time, he has the opportunity to communicate that might cost him his job, but what he's doing right now will most likely cost him his job anyway.
No, so, absolutely.
Absolutely,
man. Listen, yeah, big up to Spurs Kings TV, by the way, whether that's Marlon or Ash, big up to those boys. Please go and subscribe to them. I think I'm on with them tomorrow night, and that should be interesting if they've got anyone for me to debate. I like shows where I go on and debate people. It's fun. Listen, Isaac, thank you very much, my man. You're always welcome on. I am going to let you go, but thank you. Appreciate that. And thank you for Bergval. It's been good money so far. Well spent.
Well spent.
Take care, bro. See you later. All right. Right. The running order, I have got Sabello for his second part. Then I've got Ollie Talks Football and then Cav. So, guys, that will be it. After that, I will not be taking any more guests. So if you are one of those guests, please just be patient with me. I will get to you. And anyone else, please just sit back, enjoy the show. Please smash the like button. We should be on 200 likes. We're about 40 away. Please do smash that button. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do. And it's Marlon, is it? Or are you just guessing that it's Marlon? Big up to Ben and Kuva catching strays. I've just WhatsApped him as well. Absolutely brilliant. Kuva. Talking it right. So Sabello, have you where were we? You were telling me that I shouldn't be praising Cole Palmer and Virgil van Dijk.
Yeah, but okay, my conclusion, my final point, because we need to get the show on. But it's just that you shouldn't just like Savva be like so negative, like especially like on our young players like Gray. Like Gray is playing his best position. I'm sure I'm sure he still doesn't have the right to be playing his like best position. He needs to earn his way. Like he's still a youngster. We can't just like treat him like as this, he's not important. So he must just do the filling up for now because he's still young. So what has he done to like to prove to
am I
to
negative about Gray?
I mean, you already like slating the kid, saying, "Oh, he's not good enough. He's bad." Like,
hang on. Again, context has to be our friend in these conversations. This is
but like Savva, you're hard on these players though. Like it's
Bello, why am I hard on these players? Because they don't perform and they're inconsistent. This is what we do. This is the difference, Sabello, between having a mindset and as someone who wants to win things and having a mindset of, let's just be nice to them. Archie Gray, right? Archie Gray. Do I think Archie Gray's a good footballer? Do you think I think he's a good footballer?
I think you do. I think he's like, all right, he's going to be a decent player, but like I feel like you expect him to be like this Sergio Busquets right now, like, and it's like so like I know.
So you don't listen, right? First and foremost, I mean, let's not use Sergio Busquets' name because I mean that's one of the best midfielders I've ever seen play football. Secondly,
but he's going to be like that later.
What I actually say about Archie Gray is two things. If you are going to spend 40 million of your summer budget on a midfielder, then you never play him in midfield. I'm asking questions because this kid is not a defender. Do you agree with that? He's not a defender.
No, not really. He's more of like he holds position type of player.
Right. So
he's not a defender though.
He's not a defender, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, so he's not a defender. So what I say about him is, why have we spent 40 million on a kid where we've got lots of players already in that position that play in front of him, and we're playing him at right back or left back? Could that 40 million not have been spent elsewhere on positions we actually needed?
I mean, oh yeah, of course. No, I agree with that. Right. Yes. But like, I feel like Ange is just like trying to slot him in, like, and because he like just to give him some minutes, some game time, because I feel like in the
no, go on. Like, I agree.
I feel like because I feel like in the midfield, it's kind of like it's full. Like we have a lot of like options there, so why not just we'll put Gray there because we know he's still got a lot of time. We just to put him there just to better his game in some aspects, because like it, it will become useful like in the future or like later. Like,
Sure.
like I'm sure he's not.
Fellow. The difference is, again, this is where you hear something I say, don't apply the context and then say things to me like you're negative about Gray. My question is, 40 million is a hell of a lot of money for an 18-year-old footballer, right? I think he's like the fourth, like someone in the chat will tell me if I'm wrong. He's like the fourth most expensive teenager of all time. Someone in the chat will tell me, let me know. I think it's fourth, right? If he is, Spurs have got to be the only team that can bring in an 18-year-old for 40 million and then play him at right back and left back. And then when fans question it, we got other fans like you going, oh, you're harsh on him. Archie Gray is not a fullback, right? When he's playing at fullback, I don't think these games are doing him any good at all. He's getting roasted. He's getting absolutely roasted. If you're going to bring in Archie Gray and he is not good enough to get 1 minute against teams like Palace or Ipswich, is it not fair for a fan like me to ask the question of why we spent 40 million on him? Or did we spend 40 million for the future?
No, it is fair. It's fair. No, it's questionable,
Right.
obviously, but I'm
Right. So am I negative or am I just asking some obvious questions?
and no, okay, I know, Savva, but like, but you just need no, but you just like you just need to just like have time, just have patience. I feel like,
Right.
and
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question? It might say, look, you look younger than me. How old are you?
I'm 21.
You're 21. So
Yeah.
I'm double your age. When, no offense, but when you come on and say things to me like, I need patience. I've watched these owners be at this club longer than you've been alive, right? So when you tell me just have patience, what for what? Am I just having? This isn't about Archie Gray. Archie Gray, I don't know. Do you know what? If someone said to me, how good is Archie Gray? The honest answer is, and any Spurs fan, if they're honest with themselves, the honest answer is they don't really know because we don't get to watch him play in midfield. So when people are going, you're harsh on him, I don't know if he's any good or not. What I've seen of him at fullback, I think he's not a fullback, right? When I see him at fullback, right, I think he looks completely lost. You know why? Because he's not a fullback. So for me, when you come in and tell me it's about patience, this is the obvious lazy answer in a debate when you've got nothing else to actually back up your evidence, right? What am I being patient for?
Like Savva, like obviously, this is a big club. It's a top six. There's a lot of pressure. Like obviously, it's gonna be. I feel like if Gray was in like a championship team, like if we sent him back to a championship team or like some like lower league, he will be decent. We'll look at him and be like, wow, that's a star boy upcoming. But like obviously, he's like playing with other like world class like facing world class players. Of course, we're not going to like see this like this decent player that we want to see. Like it's obviously he's way out of his depth, but I know he's gonna come good. He's going to come good next season, surely.
Sure. So again, I'll go back to the original point, which is what you're not listening to. If we buy a young player and we say this player is going to come good in 2-3 years' time, absolutely fine. I've got no problem with that. Bergvall cost about, what was it, 8 million? Something like that, right? You bought Bergvall for 8 million. Fine. Bergvall, give him time. Blah, blah. Spurs are a club that in the transfer window, we don't ever do what we need to do. We've spent 40 million on Archie Gray when there were people like Kefram Thuram available who walked straight into our midfield. Locatelli, who would walk straight into our midfield. We could have bought a defender because we've only got 3 centre-halves. That's my query. It's not, oh my God, why did we buy Gray? But the point is it was 40 million and the lad doesn't even get 1 minute in his position. So I'm asking, why was he bought? That's the question I'm asking you, why? And if the answer is for the future, then that's 40 million. That's a massive 40 million gamble when we've not actually addressed what we need for now. But you say patience. I'm bored of patience. Buy what you need.
But like Savva, haven't you seen what it's been happening? We like obviously haven't you seen what's been happening? We've been doing a rebuild, so obviously we're buying younger players. We've been buying younger players. We're not buying these like established players now. It's all about. I know we always say every year rebuild, 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 but this like right now like we are actually rebuilding. Like
Okay.
we
Let me
like
ask you. Right, go on. You've said we're in a rebuild. I love this
it's an
question.
no. I know, but I know
No,
we
no, no,
always say
hang
this
on.
every year. I know. I'm not going to go back
No,
on
no,
it.
no,
We
hang
say
on. You
this.
don't know what I'm going to ask. You don't know what I'm going to
Okay.
ask. Right? You call it a rebuild, right?
Yeah.
This is the worst YouTuber you could have come on and asked this question to, right? Rebuilding from what?
From that team that got us to the final of the Champions League.
Sure. So how can you rebuild for something that happened 5 years ago?
Well, we weren't rebuilding in that 5 years because we were just buying like for like. We were just replacing like for like getting
Okay, so
Perisic, like getting who's this?
okay, so in your mind, just so I've got this clear, I don't want to paraphrase. In your opinion, rebuild means to get back to a team that failed.
Oh, back to a good team, basically,
Sure.
taking out to the team that got us to that successful period in time and replacing it with a newer team that's going to get us to, that's going to get us back to that success, basically.
Sure.
So
Okay, so
wiping us.
First and foremost, there wasn't any success. So let's be very clear about that. There wasn't any success.
Fair enough, but like Champions League final, it was okay. It's not a success, but like it's the closest and competing for like the title. I feel like that's also kind of success-ish.
Sure. Okay. If you want to call that success, that's why you're a Spurs fan, right? We don't understand what success is as a fan base. Success isn't finishing 11 points behind Leicester City in a title race. This title race that we were never really in. We were never really close to it, but that's fine. If we're rebuilding to that, okay, we're going to rebuild to a team that failed. Fine. That's fine. Tell me what we're doing right now to rebuild to that. Who have we bought to rebuild to that?
Promising youngsters. Promising youngsters.
No. Okay. But you said we're in a rebuild, right? Who is a promising youngster for a rebuild?
Van de Ven. Van de Ven is still young.
But Van de Ven's not
Udogie is still young. They're not in their prime yet. They're entering their prime. They still got like at least one more season to be actually like, or 1 or 2 seasons to be like considered to be in their prime. So we got Van de Ven, we got Udogie, we got Bergvall, we got
I'm going to address all of these in a minute.
Right, we have Gray. Okay, Brennan Johnson, I don't see him long term. Like I think he's just gonna be like that bench player once we find like another quality like winger. Because I don't see him like I don't see us doing anything with Brennan Johnson, like competing in anything with Brennan Johnson. I feel like it's just a temporary thing with Brennan Johnson. But again, it was also a lot of money spent on him, which is also I'm also scratching my head on that. But
okay, but let me address it. Do you know how I know that you are waffling about the rebuild? Do you know how I know that you don't even believe what you're saying? Do you know how I know that, again, it's just a throwaway word that fans like you use? Because the moment I asked you, who have we got in this rebuild, you struggled to name more than 4 players. Your answers were Mickey van der Ven, who's a 23-year-old Dutch senior international that has played.
That's still young, though, Savva. He's still like.
Hang on, let me finish. Let me finish. 23. We could do this all day long. 23 is young. 24 is young. Where's the cutoff, right? At the end of the day, if this is a rebuild, Mickey van der Ven. Go on, I'll give you that one. Mickey van der Ven. Destiny Udogie. What? Okay, what?
Papa Matasar.
Let me.
Papa
Dude, you've got to let me finish. You've got to let me finish.
Sorry.
Right? So, a Destiny Udogie, a player who's not impressed at all and can't defend. That's part of the rebuild, right? Just so I know.
He's going to get better.
No, Sabello, you want him to get better. This is the difference. See, this is the problem. Fans think that every young player is going to keep getting better like that. Doesn't always happen. This is the problem. So let me go into this, right? When people say the word rebuild and they go, we've bought loads of young players. First of all, a rebuild doesn't necessarily mean young player. As a Spurs fan, you think it means young player because you've been hoodwinked into believing that's how you rebuild. A rebuild is going to buy proper footballers. It doesn't matter if they're 27 or 21. Go and buy top footballers. That's a rebuild, right? Or as I like to call it, a build, because I don't know what we're actually rebuilding to. We're rebuilding to a team that fell apart and failed, right? In your opinion. Now, Mickey van der Ven, very good player, right? Adogi, for me, very hit and miss, isn't a left back. Papa Sarr, he's all right. He's okay. He's a decent player. He's up, he's down. Papa Sarr's been a pro footballer for about 6 seasons, right? This is a fully fledged international footballer, right? Hang on. Who else? You've mentioned Bergvall and Gray, 2 kids that don't get a minute in the Premier League. That's not a rebuild, is it?
Then we have Odegaard.
Okay, so the rebuild is basically Gray, Bergvall, and Odegaard, 3 players that won't get anywhere near the first team when everyone's fit. That's the rebuild.
Obviously, it's probably they're going to be starting like by next season fully, like by next season.
How do you know that?
I don't know that. Fair enough. I don't know that, but we bought them for so much. So I think it's an obvious reason to think like, they're probably going to be fully starters by next season or so if we spent this much money.
But again, Sabello, you see, the problem is all of this is ifs, buts, and maybes. Have you noticed any question I ask you that needs a definitive answer, you can't give a definitive answer. And this is the difference. When people come out with definitives, right? This is a rebuild. And I say, what does that mean? You can't answer it succinctly. A rebuild from what? Not one of those players you've mentioned there. Do you go, yes, that is a top player to rebuild with? It's all hit and hope. It's all hit and hope.
That's because of Ange, though. Ange is such an average manager. If we get a decent quality manager, these players would be they'll be good. I'm telling you, they'll be good. Adoji will properly know how to defend and also give us good output like he always does. They will be disciplined enough. They'll be disciplined. It's only we're saying this is because of Ange and because it's a manager's job to keep the team very stable and very have a backbone and stuff. It's a manager's job, but we all kind of doubting these players because of the manager. That's it. It's the manager. It's Ange.
No. Look, hang on. Listen, I'm not a fan of Ange, but at the end of the day, you told me it was a rebuild, right? Now I'm asking you do you know what? I played along, but now I'm asking you some outright questions. You are struggling to answer them. Do you know why? It's hope, it's hope over expectation, right? Adogi could be better with a different manager. Of course, I would like to think that a better manager wouldn't play Adogi at left back for a start because he's not a left back. He can't defend. That's not his position. He's a wing back, right? I would like to think that a new manager wouldn't play Porro at right back. He can't defend. He's a right wing back. But when you're going to say this is a rebuild, right? How? Look at the players he's signed. Solanke's part of a rebuild. Johnson's part of a rebuild. Gray, Odegaard, and Bergvall, players who don't play, are part of a rebuild. I don't know what we're doing here. If it's a rebuild, all of them should be in the team, no? If it's a rebuild, they should all be playing in the team, growing and building a team together. That's a rebuild, isn't it?
But if they're not doing well on the pitch, why must they keep on starting then? If they're not impacting the game, why must Ange keep on why must they keep on being started? They're not doing well, so they're not going to start all the time. They must fight for their place to be they must be consistent so they can so they can stick, so they can stay in their position. They mustn't be I don't know.
I understand, but you're now diverting so far away from your original argument. It's unreal. We're not arguing about why players aren't dropped if they're not playing well. The question is, what is the rebuild part of it? When I looked at the team that Poch built, right? Now, bearing in mind, Poch some of the players, I don't know if you know this, you know, that if we're going to look at that famous 11 under Poch, it didn't win anything, but the famous 11 that entertained people and got very close, right? Do you know of the 11, how many of them were there when Poch arrived? Have a guess.
Wasn't maybe like, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4. I know Poch got most of them. Like, I don't know. I'm maybe like
No.
Hurricane
See,
was
I'll
wasn't Hurricane already there?
I'll tell you,
Okay,
so we don't
okay.
have to prolong the pain. Seven
Oh.
of that 11 were there, right? Now, were they playing great? Some of them were doing well before, some of them weren't. 7 of them were there. And Poch found a good position for them and went and complemented it. So I'll tell you who was already there, shall I? Hugo Lloris was already at the football club. Walker and Rose were already at the football club, right? Jan Vertonghen was at the football club. There's 4, right? Kane was at the football club. Ericsson was at the football club. And there was one more I'm missing, either Dembele, or if it was already at the football club, right? 7. He brought in, out of Ireland, Ali, Son, and Wanyama, I think. I think someone in the chat will tell me. I think that's pretty much right, right? What he did was put people in their right positions, got a formation and tactics that worked, and blended them into a team. Now, we can all talk about should he have been backed more, of course, and all this. But in terms of what Poch did, and we're talking about a rebuild, Poch didn't have any players at the level of Brennan Johnson. Poch didn't have anyone like Brennan. Poch didn't have people that couldn't play football in his team like Brennan Johnson. Poch didn't have people like Adogi that can't defend. Poch didn't have an aging player like Son for this rebuild. So when you're talking about rebuild, this is what I mean. Anyone who uses that word, they can never actually say rebuilding from what and what does it mean. And this is what I love. Fans like you will come on all day. And to be fair, you've got the cheek. I like it, actually. I think it's quite brazen of you. You come onto my channel and call me negative. You come onto my channel and say I need more patience. You come on and talk to me about a rebuild. But then you can't answer any of the questions I've answered you. You've talked to me about Palmer and Van Dijk. I think I closed those arguments down very, very quickly, right? You've talked to me about a rebuild. You can't tell me what it is. I've asked you who the rebuild players are, and you're naming 18-year-olds that aren't even getting 1 minute in the Premier League. So I'm not really sure you know where you're going with the rebuild.
Like, I don't have good points because the games haven't been played yet, though, Savva. Like, they haven't been played. I can't see into the future and give you points. Like, they haven't been played yet. I can only give.
What does that mean?
Some of the points I can't really say, okay, this is why, because the games haven't been played. Like, it sounds like if buts and maybe because the games haven't been played. And but I just know, like,
sorry, mate, I don't understand. Mate, you're saying that your point could be right, but we don't know yet because we can't see into the future because they've not played games.
Yeah,
is that
basically.
what you're saying? Okay, great.
Yeah.
So then, brilliant. You've made my point for me. So, is it a rebuild if there are players that are not playing at the moment? How's that a rebuild? What you mean to say is we've bought a few exciting young players that might come good in the future. Now, a few exciting young players and a rebuild, 2 very different things, aren't they? Surely a rebuild would have been, do you know what? This summer, we're going to go out and buy Gallagher for centre midfield. We're going to buy Eze in attacking midfield. We're going to buy a really good left back. We're going to buy a top goalkeeper. Now you're talking. But we didn't. We bought 18-year-olds, and fans like you think that means rebuild. It's not a rebuild. Any club could dip into their under 21s and take 3 18-year-olds, couldn't they? It's not a rebuild.
Fair enough, yeah.
By the way, this person, I'm not heated. I'm not heated at all. At the end of the day, you've got no answer for it. You listen, I get it, right? You're one of them people. Are you on X?
Sometimes, yeah.
Right. You're one of those people who goes on X and you just chuck out throwaway phrases like rebuild, negative. But I'm someone that goes deeper. I'm asking questions that need words to answer it. You can't answer them. You cannot tell me what a rebuild is. You can't tell me. Bergvall and Gray is not a rebuild, just so you know. 18-year-olds that don't play for the club are not a rebuild. And just so you know, and again, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a lesson on Tottenham Hotspur here, right? Because you told me to be patient. Do you know, in the 21 years that you've been alive, how many young players do you think, as a fan, I've seen come through and never make it, but I've got fans like you telling me they're all going to be brilliant? How many do you reckon? Hundreds? In 20 years?
Yeah.
Hundreds?
Yeah, true,
Right.
Savva.
Right. Right. This is the thing. Let me
Probably.
ask you. Yesterday, who came on for Ipswich? Jack Clark? When we signed Jack Clark, right? Do you remember that? It was a few years ago, 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, I
Signed
remember Jack Clark. Was that him? Was that our Jack Clark?
Yeah, right.
Was that our player?
Yeah, that was our Jack Clark, right? So again, when we signed Jack Clark, I was sitting on, wasn't YouTube at the time, but on podcasts and stuff, and people are going to me, Savva, you don't know football. This young player, he's brilliant. He's for the future. He's part of the rebuild. Cool. Sessegnon, Savva, you don't know football. This player's brilliant. He's part of the rebuild. Cool. Unji, Savva, right? I could go on all day. I could go all the way back to the 1990s with young players that I've been told are all going to be brilliant, all part of some masterful rebuild, and hardly any of them ever make it. Now, I'm not saying Bergvall and Gray can't make it, but to turn around and say Bergvall, Gray and Odegaard are part of a rebuild, when has anyone seen anything from any of those three that makes them think they're going to be great? In honesty, in real honesty, have you ever watched Bergvall play and gone, wow, that boy's going to... We don't know. He's a kid, right? We don't know. He could be brilliant. He could be shit. And this is the thing. Do you know who needs patience instead of me?
Oh.
You need patience with the younger players. You put them on a pedestal. I'm not putting young players on a pedestal. A rebuild for me, go and get some top ready-made footballers. That's a rebuild. We don't do it. This guy, again, look, I'll tell you what people are putting in, right? Giovanni Dos Santos. I don't know if you remember him. Giovanni Dos Santos was at Barcelona, one of the hottest young players around, right? We signed him. People are going, he's brilliant. Failed miserably. John Bostock, another one we bought from Crystal Palace. There was a whole thing about Spurs stealing him before he was old enough, and we had to pay them compensation. Everyone, this is the best young player in the country. Never made it. Bentaleb, done all right. Had 2 or 3 seasons at Spurs, fizzled out.
Good career. Bentaleb has a good career, though.
Yes, he's had a good career, but he fizzled out at Spurs and had to go to lower level teams. This is my point. Giovanni Dos Santos, Dele Alli. Dele Alli was brilliant, wasn't he? Then fizzled out. Yeah. You don't know how young players are going to go. Tarapt is absolutely another one. Carl Walker-Peters, right? There's so, and Kudu, Mabazela. Look, there's so many of these young players we bought. Vincent Janssen.
Okay.
The problem is, go on.
Savva, what's your solution then? What must I think? What do you want to convince me? What must I think about this? Because yes, maybe it could be just coping. It could be coping, but like what else? Like the media is not giving us anything. Like our journalists, when they asking Angie's question, they're not asking them like good questions that will actually make them like, I don't know. These journalists are kind of paid also. Like they're not telling us anything about our team. We don't know what's happening with our team, and you are just like ridiculing us. Like, why you think like that? Why?
You're doing it again. No, sorry, I won't take this. You're doing it again. You chuck out these words at me. I'm ridiculing. I'm negative. I need to be patient. You keep saying this, right? Tell me. I'll tell you what. Give me 3 things. How often do you watch me? How often do you watch me on YouTube? And this isn't for vanity. I just want to get an understanding of how much you've seen.
Yeah,
me.
when I'm like I don't like when I'm doing my assignments, you'd be playing in the background. Yeah, I've listened to you when I'm doing chores or like doing my assignments or whatever. So I'm sorry if I don't actually get your points like sometimes, but you are playing like normally, like in the background.
So for someone that's always ridiculing and negative, tell me 3 things I've said about Spurs that haven't been true. Tell me 3 things I've said about Spurs that have been wrong. I don't mean, I predicted this game and we lost. I mean, give me the bigger picture. Name me 3 things that I've been wrong about with Tottenham Hotspur. You're saying I'm ridiculing them. What you don't like, what you'll learn is ridiculing and critiquing the truth are two very different things. So what have I been wrong about? I'll sit here and wait while you tell me 3 things I've been wrong about.
No, Savva, you are right most of the time, but sometimes you're just also pessimistic. That's what I just feel. Like you were right, and it's because Tottenham doesn't do us justice. That they will always prove you right because they're just Spursy, and like I know you're not happy because of that. I know you want to be proven wrong, but it's just the way it is.
Dude, listen to what you've just said, right? You've just made an oxymoron, right? You've just turned around and said 2 things that don't match, right? You've just turned around and said, I'm pessimistic, but Spurs prove me right because they're Spursy. How can I be pessimistic if what I've said happens? That listen, if I'm pessimistic, right? Do you know what pessimism would be? Pessimism would be me sitting here right now saying, do you know what? I think we're getting relegated. I truly think we're going to go down under Ange. If I said that, I'm pessimistic. But you can't tell me anything else. What have I been pessimistic about? Again, I'll wait. 3 things.
Like last season you didn't even count us for Europa League. You were like, we're not even going to make Europe. I'm pretty sure last season you said that. But then we ended up like almost getting Champions League.
See, this is where, again,
or
when you say
mistaken?
Sure, I'm not going to say it. Everyone in the chat, people who watch me, there's 317 in here, people that watch me every day. Guys and girls, where did I predict Spurs would finish last season? I will not say the number. I will not give any hints. Guys and girls, let me see you all say the number of where I predicted all last year Tottenham would finish. Let's see. So we've got a few coming in. So you said that you truly believed that I said Tottenham wouldn't get European football last year. What number do you see? What number do you see there more than any other number? What number do you see more than any other number?
I see fifth.
Because I predicted 5th. So again, you've come onto my show. You've told me that I said we weren't going to get Europe last year when I actually said we were going to get 5th and we finished 5th. So I'll ask you again, what have I said that's pessimistic? Because you can't seem to tell me a single thing I've said that was really pessimistic. And I was wrong with.
Let's move on. Okay, let's move on to the players then. Let's move on to the players that you've been pessimistic about.
Right. So let's move on.
Because you're always pessimistic about our players. You're always pessimistic about our players. You just think they're so bad. They like
who? Like who?
Like who? Okay, let's go through it. Yeah, like so many times you've been like complaining about Vicario. He's not a good enough like keeper and stuff. But like Vicario, how many times has he saved us? Like he saves us a lot of times. Yes, he's shaky sometimes. Yes, he's not that solid.
So Bello, okay, listen, just the art of debate. You can't just go into a monologue. What have I said about Vicario? Tell me what I've said about him. What is my opinion of Vicario that you think I've got?
You don't rate him.
Right. I think Vicario is an average goalkeeper. I don't think he's the worst goalie I've ever seen. I don't think he's that good.
Buffon said he's going to be like Italy's starter the one day. How can you like...
Sure, but he's not, is he? At the moment, he's not. And sorry, does just being Italy's number 1 mean he's a great goalkeeper? Is Jordan Pickford a great goalkeeper?
No, not really. I mean, decent.
He's England's number 1. See, again, I feel like what you're trying to do here, I like it. I rate it. You've not got anything right so far. But what I rate about you, you're coming here, you're making up things that you think I might have said, and then you can't back it up. Who else? Come on. Vicario. Who else? Who else am I?
Okay, I think we've already established Porro. You just think he's a bad defender, but he's good. Going forward. Let's Bentancur. I don't like sometimes how you like look down on Bentancur like that. When Bentancur was like,
I look down on him.
Sorry?
What do I say about Bentancur? Okay, you mentioned Porro. Am I right in my assessment that Porro's a very good footballer but not great defensively? Is that fair?
Yeah, no, that's fair. That is fair. No, I do.
That's not pessimistic because do you know what you've just done against Sabello? It's not pessimistic. Do you know why that one wasn't pessimistic? Can I tell you why you didn't think it was pessimistic?
Why?
Because you agreed with it. So here, this is a really good life lesson. You think something's pessimistic if you disagree with it. So what you actually mean to say is, I disagree with your opinion because of X, Y, Z. Instead, you fall into the trap of saying, you're pessimistic because I disagree. So go on,
Can we move on? Yeah, Bentancur.
What do I say about Bentancur?
You don't rate Bentancur, and I feel like Bentancur, like on his day, he's like one of the slickest, one of the smoothest midfielders, like holding midfielders like in the Premier League. But you just think he's like, he just has these purple patches, and he's like average most of the time or mediocre most of the time, or he's not. And I just feel like I don't see that when I watch Bentancur.
First of all, what you've said about what I've said about Bentancur is completely wrong, right? So that's completely wrong. What I've said about Bentancur, Bentancur's a good.
I don't see you appreciate Bentancur enough, though.
Because for me, he is another very inconsistent player. Bentancur is a good midfielder. Yeah, he's got lots of ability, technical ability. I think against the lesser teams, he normally looks very good. But again, one game I watch him and I think, really good. The next game I watch him and I'm like, this guy needs to be subbed off. So there's a difference between, you know what I don't do? I don't blow smoke up their ass. The fact we don't win anything, the fact that we're inconsistent, Sabello, tells you I'm right about these players. Fans like you've called them Spursy. You've said we're Spursy, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah.
How
no,
can
you're
we
right.
be Spursy then if all these players are better than I think they are? If they're all better than I make them out to be, why are we Spursy? Why aren't we winning everything? Why aren't we top? Why do we lose to Ipswich?
So I just feel like you should back your team, man. You never.
No. See again, dude, you're falling into the trap. You're just saying buzzwords. Back your team. Pessimistic, negative. Backing my team, does that mean lying about the ability of a footballer? Does it?
No.
So,
but I just feel like you're turning into a league gunner. Like you're gonna turn into a league gunner where you're going to just everything is just gonna be so even when your team is doing well, like you just gotta look at the dark spots. Like, but no. I'm not saying when we do well, you still look at us. I'm just saying like you going that road. I feel like you just.
But do you know where you've just lost really any credibility that I had for you? If I'm going to be brutally honest. The fact that you feel that now you need to call me the Spurs League Gunner. First of all, League Gunner is my friend, right? Second of all,
I like League Gunner also.
Hang on. Why do I have to be League Gunner? What? Because he's got standards for his club and I've got standards for mine makes me League Gunner. Which player am I wrong about? Tell me which player. Tell me 5 consistent players in a Spurs shirt that are really, really good footballers.
Consistently, like.
Again, you can't answer my questions. Do you know why? Because I'm not harsh on them. I'm honest. The problem is you've been brought up. I'm going to call it out for what it is now, my friend. Because you've called me League Gunner, I take offense to that. Not because I don't like Lee. And if Lee was watching this, I love Lee. But it gets a bit boring being called the Spurs League Gunner, right? As though I've never had this opinion about Spurs before I watch Lee Gunner do a stream, right? At the end of the day, you've been brought up in an era where your age group think everything is fluffy and nice. Everything's nice. If you're not saying nice things, oh, he's mean, he's horrible, right? You don't like the truth. Because I tell the truth about our players and I'm often proved right, Savva's negative. Tell me the last time, any of our Spurs players had a really good 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 game run in a row when they were consistent, when we all finished the game and went, God, weren't we good? Look at how he's playing. Can you name me one? You can't. Because they're not as good as you think.
That's also, you can say the same for majority of the teams in the Premier League, though. Like, not everybody, football is so hard. Like the competition is tough.
Sure. But I don't, Sabello, I don't support the other teams. I don't support the other teams. That's for them to debate. I don't need to. Aston Villa YouTubers, Newcastle YouTubers, they're going to have their own debates. I'm a Tottenham fan, right? I'm a Tottenham fan. I will debate my players. I have seen Tottenham for 24 years fail over and over and over again. And you know what? When teams have the majority of good players, they don't fail year in, year out. That is your answer as to how good the players are. So let me throw it back at you, right? Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United. In the last 15, 20 years, those teams have won everything. I think all of them have won everything other than Arsenal won a Champions League, right? If I'm not wrong, Man City have won it, Chelsea have won it, Liverpool have won it, Man United have won it in the last 20 years, right? They've all won everything. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why did they win all those things? Why?
They have standards. They are like well-established.
Go
They are
on.
well-established clubs. They're big clubs. They are
Sure.
like they.
Sure, but the name of the club doesn't win things. Why did they win it on the pitch? Why did they win on the pitch? Listen, you can Man United, one of the biggest clubs in world football. They've not been winning everything lately because they're not. The name alone doesn't win it. Why on the pitch have those clubs been winning things? Why?
Because they open their checkbooks. Like when they want a player, they go for a player, and they normally do get them. Like we are going to try probably bid and try and get the cheapest deal or swap like for
Hallelujah.
like. We don't go for better.
Hallelujah. We got there, Sabello. So the answer you're looking for is they buy better footballers than us. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. There's your answer. So when you're talking to me about how good is Bentancur, by the way, I think Bentancur's a good player. I don't think he's special. I don't think he's amazing. I think he's a good player. So Bello, you've got to remember, right, that some of us have got very high standards. I think a lot of people your age don't have any standards. You've seen Spurs win one trophy. You're 21, right? You would have seen Spurs win a trophy.
Not really, yes.
Right, 4. You would have been 4 when we won a trophy, yeah? Or 5. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I remember
Yeah,
Spurs
but I only started supporting.
Tom?
I only started supporting Spurs like 2017, like when we had the shield and a badge. That's when I really started
So here's the difference then. So I've got someone rocking up to my show, supported Spurs for 7 years maybe, right? I've supported the club for 40 years. I've seen Spurs win the FA Cup, League Cups. I was alive when we won the UEFA Cup. I've seen Spurs have proper players. This is the difference. You haven't, right? Who's the best player you've seen at Spurs?
Harry Kane.
Harry Kane. Right after that?
I'd say Son.
Right, so stop there. There's the difference. The second best player you've ever seen at Tottenham is Son. Son doesn't even get into my top 20 players.
Maybe Gareth Bale. But I'll never forgive Jose Mourinho for benching him for most of the season. It was criminal of him.
What you mean? You mean when Gareth Bale came out and said, "I feel sorry for Jose. I came to Spurs and I wasn't fit to play." You mean that season? See, now here's where it gets different, right? People my age. Loads of people in this chat that will be my age or thereabouts. We've seen proper players at Tottenham. We've seen players at Tottenham that make people like Bentancur look like very average footballers. You might think they're great players. I think he's a decent midfielder. He's a good midfielder. I've watched people like Paul Gascoigne play football for Spurs. You would never have seen Gazza play, have you? You're not old enough, right? Do you know how good Gazza was? Glenn Hoddle. Luka Modric, right? Proper footballers, proper Ricky Villa.
Was it during the pub eras when after training they go to the pub and they drink and then they the next day with they playing with their bellies? Was it I don't know, football back then? I don't know. I feel it wasn't as serious. You know what I mean? As now.
Stop! Please don't belittle the greats. Again, if you want to be a Spurs fan, do some homework on Spurs. Do you know Glenn Hoddle?
Yeah, I know Glenn Hoddle. I see them when they talking on Sky and stuff, and I see the big old they're just old and stuff. I don't have any connection with them because that was not my era. Fair enough.
Right.
I only fell in love with Tottenham.
But this is the difference, Sabello. So people like me, I've seen greats. I've seen players that we thought were average at the time that piss all over people like Bentancur. People like you look at Bentancur and go, top midfielder. He's all right. People in the chat my age will tell you, Bentancur's good, but wouldn't have got in the top Spurs teams. Nowhere near it.
But Savva, you can say that about like with everybody, like with every team though, because I feel like the competition is just where it's more now. Like everybody's good. Like if you're playing the Premier League, you're good. Like your quality. I don't know. I feel like
the standard now, Sabello, compared to the players I've just mentioned, is nowhere near. The standard I've mentioned now is nowhere near the players you've just belittled by saying that was the pub era. This is the thing. This is where I feel the youth of today, your understanding of Spurs, like you don't know your own club. This is what I find ridiculous. You don't know Spurs. I fell in
love with Tottenham with Jermaine Defoe, actually, and Stephen Pena, because Stephen Pena is from my country. He's from South Africa, and I'm from South Africa. Yeah.
Jermaine Defoe, a very good striker. But again, Jermaine Defoe's not in the list of greats.
But I saw him scoring goals, and that's when I started like loving Tottenham, and I started loving it because of him.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is, Sabello, is you rock up, start supporting Spurs in the last 7 years, right? Then you come on and tell a fan like me for 40 years who's traveled around the world watching them that I need patience, right? I think that's really belittling. I need patience, apparently, right? You've told me, right? You've told me, oh, all those great players, but they were in the pub in the pub era. Dude, you need to go and do some research on your own football club.
Okay, right? But Savva, first of all, like, why are you like attacking me? First of all, I would want to do what you want to do, though. I would want to go spend on some quality players or some decent, like, established players. Obviously, that's not realistic because of our board and stuff like that. I'm just trying to be more realistic in what we can do, like, with the situation we have right now. Like, it's so unrealistic just to say, oh, just go buy these quality, go buy Locatelli, go buy, go buy. Like, it's so unrealistic. Daniel Levy's not going to do that.
What? So we couldn't have bought Locatelli at 25 to 30 million euros. We don't have 25 to 30 million euros.
After that Euros, they probably would have wanted more from him.
No, but see, again, probably in the summer, he was one of the players they were willing to sell because they needed money. But again, when you're saying realistic, look, can I tell you, I'm going to let you go. What I think you need to do before you come back on the show, you need to do some research on the club, the history, the owners, the players we've had. Because when you come on and start calling players like Gaza and Hoddle and all these people from the pub era, it's a little bit embarrassing, mate, that you call yourself a Spurs fan. I'm going to be honest. It's embarrassing, right? The players we've got now are nowhere near the players we've seen, right? No, let me finish before you cut in, right? At the end of the day, you rock up here, you tell me I need patience. 40 years of supporting Spurs. I've seen much better players, and you're upset because I don't put Bentancur on a pedestal. You're upset because I don't think Vicario's a great goalkeeper. Vicario's okay. He's okay. I've seen much better goalkeepers at Spurs, Sabello. I've seen much better goalkeepers at Spurs. You haven't, because you haven't supported the club for very long. That's the difference. You are benchmarking against crap. I'm benchmarking against top footballers. There's a huge difference there.
You think Hugo Lloris was crap? Do you think Hugo Lloris was crap?
Hugo Lloris was a very, very good goalkeeper that we kept too long. Lloris should have gone after the Champions League years for me. He should have gone then.
But Savva, I'm sorry for disrespecting your players that you grew up on. I don't have to say I don't connect with them because I never watch them. Yes, I do see their highlights. I've seen Gaz's highlights. I've seen who's that other the guy that you guys got from Real Madrid, that Dutch player Van der Vaart, like that. Yeah, I've seen Adebayo. I've seen these highlights. Of course, I've seen these highlights, Savva, but it's just I'm not gonna have connection with them because I haven't watched them play full 90 minutes. So I'm sorry.
So why should I have? Let's use Bentancur as the example, right? What do you rate Bentancur? How do you rate him as a footballer?
How he handles the ball, what he does with the ball. Like,
I'm asking you what. Give me a tag. Is he a top footballer? Is he a quality midfielder? Is he class? Is he world class? What do you think about Bentancur?
I think he's under that bracket of world class. I think he's
then
just
we've got to end
like
the show. See, again, this is what I mean. The fact you think he's just under the bracket of world class is truly embarrassing. This is a guy.
Savva, this guy made it to the knockout stages in World Cup though. Like, how can you say he's not like there though? Like, he made it. Like, he doesn't. This guy like his play. This guy has a lot of caps like playing for his country in the World Cup and stuff like that.
So is that the benchmark of world class these days? Is that what we're doing? Someone plays a lot of games for their country, they're world class or nearly world class.
In major tournaments.
So
I never said it. I'm just saying he's under the the bracket of world class. He's just under those.
No, this guy is nowhere near those brackets. This guy is nowhere near those brackets. Right? How many games in a row do you ever see Bentancur play consistently well?
I mean, I feel like that's unfair to say because he with these injuries that he's had, like,
and he's not been injured for ages. Let's not do that. He's not been injured for a long time.
He did have serious injuries, though, Savva. And before his injury, remember when he saved this? Again,
Sabello,
was it me?
Checking out. I'm checking out. The moment you said he's just that class below world class, I'm checking out. Right, top midfielders play well every game. This guy doesn't. This is what I mean. Fans like you settle.
But then you say this, Savva, then you're gonna go and rave on about Bellingham, how quality Bellingham is, but we haven't seen Bellingham in the last 2 months for Real Madrid, though.
So, Sabello, let me ask you a question again. Have you noticed what you're doing, right? And this, I'm going to let you go after this, right? Because you're starting to get silly. When have you ever heard me rave about Bellingham? You're making that up.
No, it was just an example, though.
Okay. But what would I say about Bellingham? Go on. You know me so well. You've got everything wrong about me tonight. What would I say about Bellingham?
No, I'm just the type of, you'll be like, oh, do you watch Bellingham the other? He was quality. He does this, he does that, he does that, he does that. But
really? Do you want to know what I think about Jude Bellingham?
What do you think of Jude Bellingham?
I think Jude Bellingham is massively overrated. I think Jude Bellingham had a brilliant beginning to last season where he scored a lot of goals and faded out. This year, I think whenever I watch Real Madrid, I hardly notice that he's playing. I think he's got all of the attributes to be a top player. I don't think he puts it all together, right? So please don't tell me what type of player I would rate, right? Do you know the type of player I rate? You can rate a Bentancur all you want. Modric, Rodri, these are proper midfielders. Kevin De Bruyne, these are top midfielders, not Bentancur. Not Bentancur, my friend. Nowhere near it. He's nowhere near it. He's a good footballer. But again, we've had three years of Bentancur of inconsistency.
When Bentancur has the ball in his feet, he looks way more comfortable than Rodri and Kevin De Bruyne. I'm not saying he's better than them, but he's just
sorry, Sabello. There's opinions.
I'm not saying it's better. Savva. I'm not saying it's better.
He looks more comfortable than
he just when he has the ball, when Bentancur has the ball, he's just so slick and smooth with it. I just don't understand how to explain it to you. Whereas when you watch
Sabello, everyone's laughing in the chat because it's ridiculous. Sabello, Rodri's the best player in the world, and you've just said,
of course he is. I know he is, but I'm just saying
he's more comfortable with the ball at his feet than Rodri.
I feel like Rodri just.
Do you realize how silly that is? Think about it.
No.
Take a second. Say the sentence.
I never said Bentancur is better than Rodri. I'm just.
You said Bentancur with the ball at his feet is better than Rodri.
Obviously, I would choose Rodri any day over Bentancur. Obviously, I'm just giving you what I see when I see Bentancur as a ball.
You're no offense, you're starting to show your age. It's getting really silly. You called greats of the game pub level, pub era, and they wouldn't it's better football now.
But then why are you so snarky? Why are you making these remarks and stuff like that? We're just having a convo. I don't know why you need to be.
We're not. But I think everyone agrees. I think that you're trolling now. You're saying really silly things.
Like what? How is it silly?
Bentancur saying better with the ball at his feet than Rodri. That is an embarrassment.
I just say it. Okay, no, it looks like it though. For me, But I'm not saying he's better. I'm not saying he's better.
I understand, but then it tells me what I'm dealing with. If that's your level of football, I can't deal with that. For you, listen, I'm going to let you go, Sabello. You need to do some research on the club you support, because you really don't seem to know anything about the football club. And please stop making up things that I haven't said. It's very frustrating when people do that.
Oh my God.
You've said this, you've said that. I'll tell you what I've said or not you, right? So I'm going to let you go. Dude, do some research. Go and look at the teams in the 80s and the 90s. Go and look at some of the top footballers. Go and watch David Ginola play football. Then come back and tell me. Go and watch David Ginola tonight on the YouTube. Then come back and tell me, sorry, Savva, yeah, class above what we've got now. Right? Because this is madness. This is madness. You just chuck in words like patience, pessimism, negative. And you couldn't tell me one occasion where I have been. You couldn't tell me.
You couldn't tell me because you're right in most of the things you say. I'm not saying you're wrong, though, Savva. I'm not saying you're wrong.
How can I be pessimistic and wrong?
Sorry?
How can I be pessimistic and wrong? It doesn't make
You're
sense.
not wrong. I'm not saying
Right.
you're not wrong, though. I'm not saying you're wrong. All of your points you've said all of your points, I've never said that you're wrong on that. I never said that you're wrong. You always say that people are saying you're wrong, but we're not saying you're wrong. It's just
Bello, I'm asking you. You couldn't tell me one thing I've been pessimistic about. You couldn't. You lied and made up that I said we wouldn't get into Europe last year, and you were proved very wrong. You haven't actually got a foundation for anything you've said tonight. So next time you come on, be prepared, have some facts, actually tell the truth. Thank you for coming on. I have appreciated it until you got silly at the end, but thank you. All right?
good chat, Savva.
Have a nice evening, man. Right. Well, that was hard work. Guys and girls, listen, you never know who you're going to get. I love it. There's no one left in the chat room. So listen, it just leads me to say thank you very much. A user came in and said, Savva, I have a solution to winning. Always dress our opposition as in Man City kits and dress our players in their native kit. That will fix mentality. A user, it's mad that we have to play a good team to get that mentality, isn't it? It is. But thank you so much for your super chat. I really appreciate it. I just can't believe what I just heard, that he's better than Rodri with a ball at his feet. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to go and get some dinner. Much love to all of you. Take care. I will be live tomorrow at 11 a.m. with Ben and Kuva, and we will be discussing every Spurs manager from the Premier League era. So join us for that as we rate those managers. Take care, everyone. And as always, come on, you Spurs.